So I was saying. So I don't think so. Joey, I think
Joey
he
Chestnut.
does hot dog, and then so when you soak the bread in water, that breaks
Ew.
that breaks it up, so he can swallow it whole and not get stuck.
They take the hot dogs out of the buns.
Yeah.
They take like 2 or 3 at a time. They just shove it down their throat. Pause.
Wait, are they literally just not?
They're
chewing?
literally
just not chewing.
Well, they're biting it obviously because you got to get. They're not just putting the hot dog in. They're just like
No, they're biting.
I would demonstrate it, but this video is going on the internet, so I'm not going to do that to myself. And then they'll take the buns, they'll soak it in water, they'll squeeze the fuck out of it so it's like a little ball.
Yeah.
And they just eat it, swallow
yeah,
it on
and
the
that,
next.
and if they're not,
Isn't that cheating?
No, because
You're still eating the hot
if
dog.
you're swallowing the bread and it's not like wet, it's gonna get stuck.
Aren't you supposed to eat it together like a regular?
No.
I mean,
No.
if you want to make the rules that, then you can. But like at the end of the day, it's a hot dog eating contest, and as long as you're doing it legally, as per the MLE rules, by any means necessary, you might as well.
If we can get Joey on the pod,
Wait, do
he
they
can
poop
answer
that out?
They get their stomach pumped after.
Wait, for real?
I think a good majority do.
Wait, what does that
No,
mean?
they're
Can you explain what that
the people
is?
the people nowadays, they're so trained, like their stomachs can expand.
Yeah.
So wait,
way
do
more than
they throw that up or
No.
do they let that
I don't
digest?
I think they let it digest
and they
just,
dump it out.
typically people that do big food challenges don't eat the next day or two.
Yeah, Joey, I don't think eats a day before or a day after he does it. I think they interviewed him and asked him, but he says like, I don't know if they ever ask him, like, I don't know, but I would assume like because after they finished like the whole competition, he's like out of breath and he's like sweating like a
I mean,
lunatic.
I mean, even like if you're just eating at
So
a normal
bad for
pace
you.
and you're just like stuffed, you're gonna feel like you're out of breath. That was
Yeah,
kind of me when we all
yeah.
met
Yeah.
at the mall that one time. I just ate so much, I just felt like I was out of breath.
Yeah, I would think that some would probably get their stomach pumped. I don't know.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
I doubt it. If I would say, because the people that do it now are trained. I would say if any like newbie
They're
jumps
they're
into
probably going to the bathroom and having it come out of the mouth and the butt at the same time.
All right, we're not going to talk about that anymore.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
That's possible, but
we'll save that. We'll
I
save
don't
the rest of
know.
that for another day. But welcome everybody
That's-
to episode number 8 of the Floor Spacer podcast. Tyler Schwartz, Anthony Cavino, and Giovanni Squiteri coming at you from the studio. How are we doing today, boys?
We're good.
we're good.
We are well fed right now.
Yeah,
Just coming from
we're starting
your
late.
friend's graduation party.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've had 2 parties back to back, so
Yeah.
we've definitely rolled out of buildings.
Oh yeah.
So just so much food.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess that's what you're supposed to do in the summer, I guess. Just
eat.
tan, repeat,
And parties.
and
Swim.
Yeah, swim, sleep,
Yeah,
do it all.
yeah.
But unfortunately, with all the warm weather and the summer coming along, which means the NBA season is winding down, and we're officially about to start the NBA Finals. At the time this episode comes out, Game 1 is tomorrow. So we're recording this on a Sunday night. Yes.
It's not Tuesday.
No, Game 1's Thursday.
Dang.
Game 1's Thursday.
Game 1's Thursday. Game
too
1's the
far.
6th.
Wait, why are you saying? Well, you saying Game 1's tomorrow?
No, Game 1's the 6th.
The 6th. I think you said tomorrow.
When the episode comes out on the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you for clarifying.
So the episode at the time of recording, we're on Sunday, but by the time this episode drops, Game 1 of the finals will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or if editing, because my editor's been just, the software sucks, so I'm having trouble. It keeps crashing and freezing.
Yeah,
So
it's a
if it
lot.
goes up on Thursday, it goes up on Thursday. It doesn't really matter.
It still works.
Yeah, it could go up on Friday, and our predictions are still raw and authentic because, it's before the series started.
Yeah.
Right.
So don't judge us in that regard. But obviously, we do have a lot to get into today. This is our NBA Finals special, so we will take a deep dive into both teams. Later on into the episode, we'll get through. I think there's like 1 or 2 things we'll talk about prior to that segment, and then it's my turn this week for the question. And it's just, we still don't have a name for it. I wouldn't say it's more of a debate. I would just say it's just open-ended,
I think we
essentially.
can just
I
call
like
it.
it.
I think we can.
Do you have the question?
I have the question.
ready?
Yeah, I do have a
Yes.
question. It's like, it's not, I have to reword it properly
Okay.
because I just kind of thought of the concept because,
Right.
I've had a long week. It's been tough trying to prep everything at the same time. So,
I think I'm fine with like question of the week.
question of the week, we could do that.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
With that, yeah.
The
Let's do
question
that.
of the
Yeah.
week because it's always one and it's every week.
It
Yeah.
basically is, or like the
It's
big question
simple.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. But before we do get into our stories, we do unfortunately have to start off this podcast on a bit more of a sadder, somber note. Unfortunately, we did lose two NBA legends, or one NBA legend and one former NBA player. Two former NBA players, one legend, one
Player.
just player that
Yeah.
was respected around the association, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But the first one I feel like we have to talk about is the legend himself, Bill Walton, passed away. I think last week. Almost
It was
now.
Memorial
It was
Day,
Memorial
the
Day,
27th,
Yeah, I believe
yeah.
he was 71.
Yeah, he was. I have it here. I have
Yeah,
stuff here.
so he had a long battle
Yeah.
with cancer. I don't know if there was. I don't think it was public or not. I think it was
No.
kind of just behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And he was at All-Star Weekend this past February. He was talking. He had a long conversation on the side with Luka and Jokic, and that's kind of what everyone remembers most about him recently. But I think what most people, including myself, just kind of remember most about Bill Walton is just himself as just a person. I mean, talk about someone with just a bubbly personality, someone that just everyone wants to be around, someone that had just a positive outlook on life and everything of that nature.
Yeah.
And, it sucks when you see one of the brightest lights, unfortunately, go out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Obviously we send all condolences and prayers to himself, to his family, and his friends, and everyone else that has interacted with him and spent time with him throughout his life. But I'll go over to you first, Antoine. Just your thoughts on just Bill Walton as just Bill Walton.
Oh God! I mean, we weren't alive to watch him. He got into the Hall of Fame in '93, which that was the year my sister was born, and she's 31.
Yeah.
I always loved seeing him. He always reminded me of like Pop because they kind of look alike with
Oh, Greg Popovich.
Greg
Yeah.
Pop. They always have like that short hair, but it's not Pop.
Well,
But
yeah.
they were just playing so many vids, just back of him when he was on the sideline calling games. You knew who he was. I think because of the hair and also his face. I don't remember a lot. Like he was on ESPN a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what he was majority. Yeah, but
He will most notably now. He went out with. He was in the final. He was at the final year with the Pac-12 network.
yeah.
So-
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I always loved Bill. Watching him call games, and just anytime he was featured on like any type of just like show live, and he was on there, he always had good insight on the game as a former first overall pick as well. So big lottery guy that was. Portland took him in '74, and he changed that team. They won the 2 championships with him there. Just sad day.
Yeah.
Bill is someone that I think a lot of guys now looked up to with just how they view his game. I mean, he was a big guy that rebounded. He blocked very well. He led the league in blocks, I think, in his first season in Portland. Just very role model type of person for anybody with basketball, and even getting into the booth just to be yourself like he was.
Right.
I mean, I don't think they would have as much leeway as Bill Walton does, being
Well,
an NBA
obviously,
legend, but
yeah.
just any, I guess, NBA player going into the booth to not always be like that serious type
Yeah.
of person, like just,
It's good
be
to let
yourself.
loose a little bit. Even here on this podcast, we obviously want to bring you all the news and all our takes and everything like that. But I mean, we do want to be unserious at times. Like
Yeah.
we do want to goof around a little bit, have some fun, because you don't want to be too robotic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just not going to be enjoyable. We want to show y'all our personalities as
Yeah.
well as just
Yeah.
our basketball knowledge, or on what we think and what we see when we watch the league. And I want to talk to my aunt at some point, because I'm pretty sure she's had interactions with Bill Walton working for the Blazers. So that would definitely be cool. Obviously, we'd love to get her on the show at some point. That would be awesome.
That'd be
But
dope.
what are your thoughts on Bill Walton? I know you love the older NBA eras.
Yeah.
90s, 80s, 70s. I know you probably have watched a lot of Bill Walton highlights and seen that big
seen it
ginger
all.
beard. Yeah,
Yep.
just go off. Let us hear it.
So, I mean, I want to start off by saying that Bill Walton was excellent in everything he did, not just basketball and his career in the NBA.
Right.
But he was an excellent person, as I've heard. Obviously, I didn't know the guy.
Well, obviously.
But he was an excellent person, an excellent basketball player, and an excellent commentator. So he was a man that just was great at everything that he put his mind to. And so that alone deserves obviously a ton of respect. So I want to say that first. And also, I've watched some of his highlights, and he reminds me a lot of Jokic.
Really?
in the way he plays. I really do think that, and I think a lot of centers get their play style from him. Maybe they didn't watch him, but something about Bill Walton, like if he played in today's era, he would be such a beast.
Oh yeah, he'd
Like
be
his
dominant.
play style, like oh my goodness, he's so good. Like he had the sky hook, he had the vision, the passing. That's why he reminds me of Jokic a little bit.
Yeah.
He has the defense. He has his play style is just winning play style basketball.
Just
So-
the model. It's what's the word? It's the platonic ideal of an NBA center or
Yeah.
just an NBA big man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
you
and,
could-
and think about this. He was in an era where you had Kareem, you had Wilt Chamberlain, you had Bill Russell, you had, what's the guy? Willis Reed. You had a bunch of these centers that were beasts.
Yeah.
And he stuck out like big time.
Yeah.
So he was in that era. To come out of that era and to be a legend in that era of big men, that tells me a lot about his play as well. So,
Yeah.
Where would you rank him all time among centers?
oh man, this is tough.
It's tough, yeah.
Oh man. All right. So I'll put Will over him.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
put Kareem over him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'll put Shaq over him.
Agreed.
And I'll put Hakeem Olajuwon over him.
Okay.
Okay.
After that, you can put him at number 5.
Ooh.
But I don't know. Give me another name
I would put Jokic over him
right now.
right now.
I wouldn't.
Really?
Bill has 2.
No, yeah.
That's just Jokic has one. Did Bill Walton win the Finals MVP?
He did.
When okay.
Yeah, he did. I have the
he won
things here.
Regular season MVP and Finals MVP
Yeah.
in that season.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a beast.
So Jokic was supposed to win regular season MVP
but he didn't
win.
though. He didn't.
That's because there was no discourse back then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
His it seems like I mean, and when he won with the Blazers in 66 to 67, they won back to back. But in 66 and 67, he was an all-star, all NBA, all defensive, the Finals MVP, the rebound champion, and the block champion that whole year.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
And
think
then-
How?
it's just
Sorry.
I think it's really dependent. No, you're good. I think it's just dependent on the era and just the type. It's just based on opinion.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Because
then
definitely
I
true.
do think Bill Walton's at the very least a top 10 center in NBA history,
for
in my
sure.
opinion. I probably wouldn't put him in top 5.
Okay.
I just think you already have the 5 names that we mentioned of Wilt, Kareem. This is in no order, by the way. Wilt, Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem, and who was the other one you said? Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell. I forgot about Bill Russell.
Yeah. I think those 5, and then you put Jokic in there as well. I think those 6 guys, I just think are on just
They rank higher.
an ultra higher level, and that's no knock at Bill Walton,
Right.
but you know, I think Bill Walton is a name that should never be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that we all should just love and praise just from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even though we've already been doing that. So, and I think he's one of the more unique players we've seen come across the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Personality wise and play style
Personality-wise,
wise.
yeah, play style
Something,
wise, yeah.
something unique. Well, he's on the 75th anniversary team as well.
Oh, he better be.
Um,
he better.
He has no career 3-point percentage. You know
Yeah.
why?
Well, they
Because
There was no line.
No, he never took a 3-point.
There was no 3-point line.
when did the
in
three?
his position.
the- when did he retire? It was 19.
80s actually.
Yeah.
It was after his season with the Boston Celtics after they won, so that was probably
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
87,
on his
88.
reference page, it says he took no career 3-point.
Yeah, so I don't think the
The 3-point line was
it was either late 80s or early 90s. I always get mixed up.
no.
when they
It was there
introduced
before
it.
that.
Are you
It
sure?
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was there. I know in the 70s
Look, you want me
it
to look
wasn't
it up?
there. Yeah, it's,
Yeah, just look
Let
it
fact
me
up.
check
look it
that.
up. Let me
But
look
I'm
that
pretty
up.
sure like mid 70s there was no 3-point line. Late 70s maybe. I know early 80s I think they had it.
Yeah, I don't know, but even still, he's not going to be the kind of guy to shoot them, especially because when the 3-point line was
Right.
it was made or invented or
So
Right.
Bill retired in 87. He didn't play the year
what
after.
I
He had a
said.
foot injury.
Right.
whatever. Oh, okay.
So he retired with Boston.
Yeah.
When did
3-point.
the
Yeah, when did the 3 I think it was either like 85 or 87, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It was actually 79 to 80.
Oh,
That's what I
okay.
thought.
So the 2 years after he called
Right.
quits.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
And also
fair.
think about this though. They're in an era where big guys ruled, and the logic in that game was if you're big, go to the basket.
Yeah, you're going to get benched if you shoot a 3 as a big
Exactly.
man
Yeah,
back in the
it
day.
says-
Exactly. So of course you're not gonna take 3.
Right, yeah.
So they trialed it for a year before the 79-80 season.
Okay.
And then they adopted it officially going into that season.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I think nowadays, like if Bill Walton was in the NBA today, he would be
Jokic.
shooting, but I don't think he'd be shooting at that high of a clip as the typical centers like Embiid, Miles Turner, those kind of guys. I think he'd be a decent shooter though.
I think he would be like Jokic.
Yeah.
Jokic doesn't shoot as much as Turner and Embiid.
Right.
So I think he'd be on that level ish.
I'm trying to think of like another good player to compare him to besides Jokic, because Jokic is so one of one. It's like so difficult for me to compare anyone to him outside of maybe like Larry Bird, because they have similar play styles.
Right.
I'm thinking maybe like, I don't know. It's so tough because so many centers nowadays are so different. I think maybe, what about like Şengün?
I don't know. Şengün's still a little raw. I think he has more time to
You
build.
need more time to develop, but he's kind of on that path.
He is.
Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah,
We'll
I don't know.
see Şengün in like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
But also, Anthony, you did bring up something interesting, which was his injuries, which derailed his career. He only played 10 seasons in the
He
NBA.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And could you imagine if he didn't have those injuries, or could you imagine if he played in today's game where you can just rehab and get back to where you were or better?
Right.
Could you imagine how good he could have been
Yeah.
and the numbers he would have put up
Yeah.
if he played 15, 20 seasons like guys are playing in today's game?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that would be amazing. He only played 10 seasons.
Exactly.
And all those seasons were like all-star selections. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
amazing.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, obviously, rest in peace, Bill Walton.
Yeah.
Prayers to his family, everything of that nature. And unfortunately, we have to move on to another one. This one probably won't be as long, but news came out, I believe, on either Wednesday or Thursday.
May 30th.
Or May 30th. That was, I've lost track of time. Dates. I don't.
Today's Sunday.
Yeah, today's Sunday.
Thursday.
So on Thursday night, or on late Thursday night, it was reported that Aaron Gordon's brother Drew, unfortunately passed away in a car accident over in Portland. He was only 33 years old. Someone that AG was really close with. Obviously, he was, drinking beers with him at the parade last year when the Nuggets won the championship. Just obviously gone way too soon. So young, had his whole life ahead of him. He used to play in the NBA. I know he played for the Long Island Nets for a short bit. So I'll go over to you first, Gio. Just your thoughts on this sad time.
I mean, there's honestly not much I can say. Like, to lose a brother, bro. Like, oh my, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine like what he's going through right now. To lose a brother. How close were they in age? Do you know?
Gordon's like 20 something.
Yeah, he's like 28,
Yeah.
29.
He's been in the league for a long time.
Yeah.
He went one and done. So
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's crazy. I can't, because I have a brother myself, so I couldn't imagine like losing my brother. I'm just trying to like put my, step into his shoes and see how he's feeling, and I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
And another thing is like what's going on with the Nuggets, because it seems like there's a lot going on with, Porter Jr. and his brothers, and then now it's Gordon's brother. It's like, man, this is horrible. They're being attacked. I don't know what it is.
I was going to say, it's like, it reminds you of like that time that the black cat was caught on video going through MetLife. Like they have a black cat in the locker room or somewhere in that facility.
same thing happened at Wrigley, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
I mean, even still, we saw it in the Lakers game. Jokic's brother just like socked someone.
yes.
Like,
Right.
what's going on with the
Yeah.
siblings?
Weird.
It's like it's
Yeah.
really strange.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Actually.
I don't like, just what's going on in that like Nuggets like whole like atmosphere. Like there's a lot of sadness going around there. I'm sure MPJ's kind of coped a little better now because he's probably embraced it in his life somehow in a way that he's probably still doing okay, but still working with, what's going on. Now Gordon loses his brother after he's eliminated from the conference finals.
Second round.
Second round, yes, I'm sorry.
I think Shane Lowry said it best. If you know who Shane Lowry is, he's a professional golfer.
Okay.
The highs are like obviously really high, like the Nuggets won the championship last year, but like with athletes, the lows are so low, and people don't realize it because you just look at how much money they make.
Wow.
And yes, Aaron Gordon makes an 8-figure check per year.
Yeah.
I understand that, but money doesn't mean that your life is perfect.
Right.
There's still a lot of shit that goes on behind the scenes,
Right.
and whether it's something that is, a brother committing a crime versus a freak accident like this. And that's where it kind of puts life into perspective as a fan.
Right.
Because a lot of fans don't understand. And that's why a lot of hate spews from fans, because they don't get it.
I think the one thing a lot
good.
of people forget, just even as humans, nothing is guaranteed to us in life. There's only one thing that's guaranteed,
Which
and that's
is?
death.
Wow.
And regardless, none of us are going to be prepared for death when it happens. It's never, you don't prepare for death unless, I guess, if you're on your deathbed, possibly, because
Right.
you're already almost gone, but you're
Right.
just waiting.
Yeah.
But
You just don't know
for
what's
an
coming.
age that's 33, if you're driving, like, you don't think you're going to die in a car accident. You know it happens.
Right.
But, you hope that, everyone's driving the way they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit doesn't happen. It's for this, it's, of course, wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
It
what
definitely-
it comes down to. But also, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a freak accident. That's
Yeah.
literally all you can say. But as humans, the only thing that we're guaranteed is death.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we all know we're not going to be here
Right.
for as long amount of time, and it
It-
could be taken away.
It
at
definitely
any
makes you
moment in
think.
time.
It definitely makes you think. Like, it brings you to your it gives you another level of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very sobering,
It's
and it
eye-opening.
brings you back to earth.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, like it can just go like
Yeah.
that,
Exactly.
and it's crazy to
Yeah,
think.
and it makes us also make memories where, we're here, because
Yeah.
that's all we're going to have is once we pass, we're always going to have the memories.
Right.
We're still going to be here, but not physically. We'll be here in spirit. And so we don't know what happens in the afterlife. Only the people there know what's going on.
Exactly.
We don't know. But
Yeah.
once it does happen, we'll know
Yeah,
once our time. But the people that are still here on this earth, they're not going to know.
yeah.
Exactly.
So it's,
Well,
it's kind
I
of
believe
just
in
the
Jesus, so
process.
I'm going to heaven.
Exactly.
I know that.
Yeah. We do know that.
I know
know
it
that.
exists.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah, obviously, prayers to Aaron Gordon
Yeah.
and all of Drew's family and friends. Just too good of a person for it to happen to,
yeah,
considering everything he's been through as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we wish him the best. We wish obviously Bill Walton's family the best, and everything of that nature. So, and just hug a loved one, hug a friend,
Yeah.
hug everyone. So
you really never know.
exactly, you never know. Life can throw the curviest of curveballs
Yeah.
at you.
The one thing that I always take into account with, like, just my daily life is, I know what I'm going through as my own person,
Yeah.
but I don't know what he's going through at home or what you're going through. And the best thing you can do is just be happy. It does not cost you a dime to be happy or kind to somebody.
Exactly.
Or make someone else's day.
It
Yeah.
does not cost you anything.
Yeah.
It's literally just how you are, and that's how I go about my day, because I don't know what you're going through, what the guy that's next door to me is going through.
Yeah.
Like, everyone, we all have things going on in our life, but it does not mean that we
Right.
should just, because they're going through things, that be mean or not help. Like,
Right.
we're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I was not going to say race. I'm going to say we're all the same.
Technically the human race,
We're the
but-
same
Yeah.
species.
We're all
We're all the
human
same
beings.
species.
Human
and-
race.
And we all relate to one another, whether it's if we're going through something,
Yeah.
or that we have two eyes, we have hair, we have 2 feet, 2 hands. We're all humans. But I think it needs to be brought up a lot more, because, just being kind. It's not speaking. It's not. I know. I'm sure you guys know Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Every time she closed off her show, she always said, "Be kind to one another."
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
never forgot that, and that was her motto. Now she's off the air now, but I loved her growing up watching her, and that's something that I took with,
Yeah.
just and ran with it.
I think this is such a good message. Even though it might be going a little long, it's worth it.
Yeah.
No,
Because I feel like there's no need to have problems with each other, because when we realize, like, this life it goes like that, then that's when those problems that we have get settled,
Right.
because we're like, you know what, we're not going to be here for that long, so let's just solve these issues that we have between each other.
Yeah.
Let's make let's live together the best way possible. So, and it's just such a good message, I think,
Yeah.
that people need to hear, because people have issues with family,
Yep.
brothers, sisters, fighting, arguing, whatever it might be, friends.
It might not even be with another
Just-
person.
Yeah.
Right.
Be with
but,
anything.
But when you realize, like, your life and their life is like a dust compared to, like, eternity,
Right.
that's when you will start to like focus and just, like, solve those problems. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of just letting them
Exactly.
fester in.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, that's why we're always so appreciative of the nice comments you guys all give
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And even the hate comments, we're grateful for everybody.
Yeah.
It just fuels us even more, stuff like that. And like you said, dust compared to eternity. We're in 2024 right now. If anyone's watching this in like the year 9000, hello. We hope us from the past has made an impact on your life. That'd be cool.
What would they be watching on?
They'd probably be what? I don't even know if they'd be watching it from Earth.
Maybe
Right.
Maybe not.
Maybe iPhones have
No.
projectors that shine.
Bro,
That's gonna be
if we've already had,
ceiling.
we'd have the iPhone 58 million would be out by then.
Yeah.
But that's a story for another day. But
It's built into my robotic hand.
yeah, it's like a projector that comes out like Spider-Man or Iron
Yeah.
Man.
We'll all
So,
be cyborgs or something.
yeah, something like
I have
that.
a red eye.
But yeah, at the end of the day, life is gonna life, and just while we're all here, just live life like Bill Walton did, just to
Exactly.
the absolute fullest. And
Yeah.
may Bill Walton and Drew Gordon rest in peace. And
Yeah.
I think it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Let's do
Let's
that.
move on.
All right. Before we get into the next segment, we actually have a milestone watch that we're on right now. So by the time this episode's out, we'll probably hit it. But we're currently 9 subs away from 1,000 at the time of recording. So I have our live sub count sitting right here on my iPad. That'll keep going up every time we gain a sub. So if y'all haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Forgot to say it in the intro. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, stuff like that. And make sure you hit the bell on YouTube. That way you're notified every single time we upload. But more than likely, we'll probably hit it tomorrow. We probably will have 1,000 subs by the time episode 8 drops, which means that Gio is on Twitter. And it should be on the screen on the bottom of the overlay, right under his face.
No, wait. Gio's got to show his feet to the camera.
Oh, no, we're not.
Oh yeah, we did say that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Show his
yeah.
feet to the camera.
Of course, he would remember that.
Oh crap.
Because that's all we introed it for 3 episodes straight.
Yeah, basically. Okay.
Oh, that okay. No
Don't worry,
holes.
we have
No
socks.
holes.
Okay, it's
no
very
Clean,
holes.
very clean socks.
All right. Now that we're done with the foot adventures, let's get into the next story. This one's kind of more. I was more franchise based rather than the actual story, but it's about the Washington Wizards. Obviously, they've had a pretty shite season. They started the Jordan Poole, Carl Kuzma era. So you basically want to call it an error because it basically all went wrong.
Yeah.
But obviously, Wes Unseld Jr. was the coach for a while. Yeah, there you go. That was
There
the
you
guy
go.
you're thinking of. Yeah. And now, obviously, he was relieved of his duties during the season, I believe, by former Nets assistant coach Brian Keefe, who did a really bad job. But at the end of the day, the Wizards are a shit show, and all Brian Keefe has known was the Nets shit show. And it was just announced, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that he will be the full-time head coach for the 24-25 season. So I'll go over to you first, Gio, because I know Antoine's got a lot to talk about with the Wizards. Just want to know what you think on the future of the Wizards, and I'll just to give you some context. I know you're not as familiar with them. Obviously, they got Poole, they got Kuzma, they got some young talent with Bilal Coulibaly. They have the 2nd pick in this year's draft, which could basically be anybody that's not named Alex Sarr. I keep whacking my headphones. Do you see this as a good move for the franchise moving forward, and why?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I completely turned off to the Wizards after Westbrook left. So all I know about the Wizards is that they used to have Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, and they went to the playoffs and lost in the first round to the Boston Celtics. That's the last thing I know about the Wizards.
I hope you know that Beal's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that part.
Yeah, he definitely.
Yeah.
I know that part. But,
But yeah. So yeah.
but what do I think about?
Just what do you think about the Wizards? Just the state of Washington, kind of moving forward, because
Technically, it is.
Well,
no, it's not a state.
well,
but-
no, I'm not talking about the state Washington.
okay,
I'm talking about the state of
The
the,
state
of
Washington
the
Wizards.
Wizards.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. I
Yeah.
just had to make you clarify that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to look like
You
a
know.
buffoon.
Okay.
But yeah,
yeah.
essentially just where the franchise is at, in your opinion, and where you see they can go from there. So I'll let you cook up for a bit.
Who are they projected to draft? Do we know? You said anyone but Alex Sarr.
Anyone but Alex Sarr. They have the 2nd pick.
They have the 2nd pick.
So
Well, I would also argue that we could probably see Sarr not go number 1. I feel like it could be a thing with Paolo happened 2 years ago.
Not a chance.
Because I was hearing like the Hawks might like reset Shea.
No, that's who the Wizards are probably going to get.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think this could be a thing with like a few years ago when Paolo went number 1 when he was not supposed to go number 1. I think they may I think they're both great. I think Sarr should be number one because they need a bigger body. Ricochet is
Right.
like a small
Yeah,
forward.
he's not fit for Atlanta.
Yeah,
They have Jalen Johnson.
I don't
Okay, yeah,
think,
so no.
yeah, I would hope it's Sarr.
It's going to be.
It's gonna be Sarr.
pass up on him.
If the Hawks pass on Alex Sarr, I think they should relocate the franchise. That's how bad of a decision it would
Yeah,
be.
I don't know.
But yeah, go ahead, Gio.
I mean, obviously the Wizards, they haven't been. I don't think they've ever been good.
Even with Russ, they haven't been good.
They've
Yeah.
never been good. And so, because of their history, I'm a history guy. I love history. It's one of my favorite subjects. And because of the history, I'm going to say they're just going to stay right here. Maybe even get a little worse.
Really?
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't see them doing anything at all. In the next 5 years, I don't see anything, especially with the team they have constructed right now. But, of course, the NBA is so unpredictable. A team can change, like, drastically within 1 or 2 years.
Right. I mean, we all thought the
But-
Pistons were going to be playing contenders this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
'Cause
Do we really think that?
the Pistons were not trying to tank. They had a good core.
Right.
They were ready. And we thought they were going to make the play-in. We were talking about it in net spaces all year long.
Right.
I mean, all offseason long. And then they lose 28 straight. The Wizards had lost like 18 straight
Yeah.
up until that point. So did San Antonio, but it all got swept under the rug because of the Pistons. It happened at the same time. There was a stretch during the season when the Pistons, the Wizards, and the Spurs lost 58 games combined. The only win in that span was when the Wizards beat the Pistons.
That's
pretty bad.
historically trash.
That's very fun.
I've never seen 3 teams at the same time play as bad as they did.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm not going to keep yapping because I really don't know much about the Wizards. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, Anthony, because you have a lot more information for this.
I have a lot of just their drafting history. They've drafted somewhat good, somewhat bad. I love offseason talk. This is like my bread and butter. So anything offseason related or just team building is all me.
He's about to get in his bag in like a
Yeah.
month.
so this is Washington has a second pick. As we mentioned, this is their first top 5 picks in 11 years.
Since John Wall.
Since no,
Wow.
Otto Porter.
I forgot about that.
Otto
Yeah.
Porter
Otto
Jr.
Porter.
Yeah.
They took
Oh.
Otto.
So I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
they didn't expect Wilt to play like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
Wait. What do you mean?
Because Otto Porter looks just like Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so. Going what they have right now, Avdia took a big step this year. They needed a lot from him.
I do like him.
Most
Bilal,
improved candidate.
yeah, Bilal is still raw. They're gonna let him develop. Kispert was another pick of theirs from Zaga, 3-point guys, kind of eh. I think their biggest question mark is Kuz and Poole. I think one has to go, free up money. I think Poole's the one that's gonna get to go, but who's gonna take on that contract?
I disagree.
You think you would want? I think they
Poole's-
could both leave.
I think no.
I'm fine with either or.
I think Poole's gonna play better.
Okay.
I just think right now you're getting all you're gonna get from Kuzma. I think he just needs to go to another team as like a third option.
But
Okay.
didn't Kuz have the opportunity to go to Dallas and he
Yeah, but-
denied it?
Well, that's not his fault. I think
He denied it.
he denied it himself.
Yeah.
Or did
Did
the
he?
Wizards
Because he said,
decline
I'm
the
pretty
trade?
sure he said he didn't want to play with Luka. I don't know.
Well, that
Don't
could
quote
be
me
why.
on that. But
'Cause
I think
at
that's
the-
what he said.
'cause
And
at
they're
the-
in the finals now.
Well, hindsight's 2020, right? The Dallas.
No, I'm
Mavericks-
talking about recently.
No, but I'm talking about at the trade deadline.
Oh, okay.
The Mavs were not good. They
Right.
they got hot right after that.
Right.
So, and
Yeah.
PJ Washington's much more a better fit for that team than Kuzma.
Right
But
now, yeah.
Okay.
That's besides the point. I
Yeah.
do think Kuzma needs to go where he needs, somewhere where his role he'll maximize his play.
Yeah.
I think Poole can definitely play better. I don't know where Poole's fit is. I don't know what his future's like.
No.
It's hard
I think
to tell.
no.
I think it's much
idea.
easier to trade Poole because he would want to go anywhere. Kuz is more picky with where he would want to go.
Who's going to want to take on
Yeah,
Poole?
Poole's
making
contract
so
is
much money.
so
One of the worst
big.
contracts I've ever seen.
It's
Okay.
so bad.
But he still has a lot of potential.
He does. That's
Yeah.
fair. But at the end of the day, when you go from the best bench player on a championship team to completely shitting the bed and then getting benched on the Washington Wizards in 2024, like
Yeah.
how does that happen?
Yeah.
So like I think his trade value is very low. He definitely needs to get it up. I think there's some there, but
He was thrown into a horrible situation.
If he gets
though.
better in the first half of next season and is a trade deadline guy for people to buy, move him.
yeah, I think so. It's hard to tell because he's locked in for another 3 years. I think at least you give it at least another year, and then you can start taking calls.
Okay.
Because I
That's
think
fair.
they'll take call. He's not untouchable, but they'll take calls on him, and nothing will probably happen. Because
Yeah.
who's gonna make a championship move for Jordan Poole?
Nobody.
Because like as a sixth man or as like a third or fourth option, he's good, yeah, but he's making over $30 million a year. Who's gonna want to pay that
No.
in this new CBA with all these restrictions? It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'll let you get back to what you're saying.
Also, a fun fact: the Wizards could have been good because their two big men they had, this year, Gafford, they moved
Right.
him, and KP was moved last offseason. So they have two big guys now in the finals, and they're probably the main guys that are going to rebound for them.
They're gonna match up against each other.
If
That's
Porzingis
pretty
comes
crazy.
back
Yeah.
and now Gafford's there, that's another fun fact. Wizards had two of their guys now in the finals.
Yeah.
Their drafting has just been really subpar. I don't think some picks have been really bad over others. One of them they got really unlucky on. I think the recent one was Johnny Davis in 2022. They took him 10th overall.
Oh, my goodness.
Who's not seen a minute, I think, for them since he's been drafted.
He's still on the team. He's been playing.
Yeah?
They took
I don't know
him-
how he's still on the roster, but
Yeah, they took him over. I guess the two guys that were there, Jalen Duren and J Dub.
I mean, at the end of the day,
That's
hard.
Johnny Davis was a good prospect coming out into the
Yeah.
draft.
They
So
just got unlucky.
yeah, it's just like not
Yeah.
every draft pick's going to hit, but
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
comes a time where there's a habit of so many teams, and LeBron said this, where they just consistently draft like shit.
Yeah.
And it's always the same teams every time.
I think. Another one. I think 19. They took Rui. Rui had a great college season. Guys that were there, like Tyler Hero was there, PJ. But Rui had a great season
Rui
and was
was-
going to be one of
Rui
the best
was the
guys.
pick. I think the problem with Washington, for me at least, they had so many, like, if all of them played together now, they'd be a playoff team.
Wow.
Everyone just got good at the wrong time. Everyone got good
Yeah.
at different times. So Rui maximized his value, but they sucked. No one else was good, so they traded him.
Right.
Porzingis, same deal. Gafford, same thing. So you need the Wizards drafted so poorly over this like past half decade at the very least, in
Yeah.
the sense of they drafted based on, instead of drafting on fit, once you had your core guys, they started drafting on development. They went too far into development in the sense that you need a good fit around your guys, because if you don't, then you're not going to win games.
Well, here's the thing, though. Who are their guys? Who are they drafting around? They don't have that guy
but
that
the
they
thing-
can draft around.
This draft is
Maybe
going to
they're
be
trying to
there
find him.
because Tyus Jones is a free agent. That's their point guard.
Right. Well,
He's going to be gone.
He's gone.
And from just drafting recently, they've taken on international guys. I could see them
yeah.
getting a Topic to run point.
They have
he could
their-
be their guy.
They
for the
have their guy
future.
now in Bilal Coulibaly. He is
Yeah.
the one. He is like this with Wemby. He trained with Wemby. He played on the Mets '92 team with Wemby. Like, he is going to be really good. He's not going to
Okay.
be Wemby level, but that's the guy they want to build around.
That's the guy they're taking number 2.
No, they took
No,
him. They
Bilal
took him
was
year.
last.
He's on the
year's
team
draft.
already.
Yeah, he's on the
Yeah.
team already. This is the guy this is the only player that was untouchable at the trade deadline. Everyone else was available.
How did he do this past season?
He was okay.
He got hurt, so he didn't really play as much.
But he has a lot of upside.
He has very
Yeah.
much upside.
Okay.
Yes.
He'll be really
because
good.
This is their guy.
Because I was hoping we could like trade up into the top 10 to draft him, but I know the Nets weren't going to do that. But I do think they have a future with him, and whether you keep Poole or not, I think you can easily trade for some young pieces around Bilal Coulibaly and whoever they draft it to. That could be the guy.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't know. I think it's so confusing with Washington because they didn't hire an experienced head coach and they don't have the greatest GM, and they're trying to move to Virginia, but obviously they can't now because of that stupid clause in their DC contract that there's like 2040. So it's a bit of a mess. There's,
Yeah.
at least with other situations like Detroit and like Charlotte, there's new people in, and there's a young core that's firm and that's, solid, ready to go. I don't know what the future holds for Washington, and it concerns me for them because I think it's going to be the same season of playing sub 20 win basketball.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I don't know. I think even before that, in 2018, MPJ was the pick before their pick in their draft. Imagine if they got him over. They took Troy Brown, and then also the other two drafts that they did kind of poorly in 20. They took Otto in 2013 over Giannis and Rudy Gobert, but a little more raw. Otto was a great college guy out of Georgetown.
Giannis was very
then,
raw when he came to the league.
yeah,
He
exactly.
was I don't think anyone knew the serious upside Giannis had.
Nope.
No. And
So-
then 2011, they took, this was another international draft. I think Jonas Valanciunas went 5th. Jan Vesely went 6th, who was the big guy out of Finland.
Right.
And they took him over Clay, Kawhi, and then Jimmy Butler was the last pick in that
Wow.
first round.
Yeah.
And
That's-
then they hit on John Wall and Beal. That's probably the only two they probably hit
that's good.
fairly well.
Those
on.
two were their players. They were their franchise players for a long time. You know, it sucks that they couldn't get it to work out, but at the end of the day, shit happens. You move on. But I've never been the biggest fan of, you know, like saying, oh, you should have drafted this guy. There's very few scenarios where you actually do mess up. But, you know, like obviously the Pistons shouldn't have taken Darko Milicic in
Right.
the 03 draft. But like if you didn't take Giannis, like it's not your fault. Like you didn't know Giannis was going to be this good.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
Like
Exactly.
he had so much upside, but it was so risky. Same thing with Michael Porter Jr. He was supposed to be the number one pick.
Yeah.
That's right.
He fell all the way from 1 to 14.
Exactly.
Injuries.
And because Denver had the timeline, they felt it was right. They kept an eye on him since his high school days, and they went with him. So you know, at the end of the day, you can't regret your draft picks because you do so much research and everything like that you do all your due diligence. You never settle for picks, because if you settle for picks, you shouldn't be the general manager of a team. That's my view of it. You need to be 100% confident with who you choose.
Facts.
With your first round pick, if you have like a second round pick, like it doesn't really matter. Like they're probably going to be in the G League most of the time. You get your rare breeds like Jokic
Right.
and Gilbert Arenas and Bruce Brown and Spencer Dinwiddie and all those guys. But I think at the end of the day, I'll close with this. The Wizards need a direction. And and as experiencing, I'm stuttering, I don't know why. I'm experiencing from the Nets season about not having a direction. I think the Wizards are in the same boat with us in the sense that they have a young star. You know,
I think two. Abdi and Coulibaly.
Right. I think they have either or.
Yeah.
But you have the young star just like we do with Cam Thomas. And I think they can progress to be all-stars, right? And there's just a ton of dysfunction around the organization, around them, with
Yeah.
bad coaching, bad development,
Yes.
poor drafting, and just being lazy at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing with the Wizards. I think they really need to just find some sense of direction, either try and build around what you have and make a play-in push, or just blow it up and rebuild, go development mode, let everyone run their course, right? Let the Nuggets finish what they have to do. Let the Mavericks, let everyone, you know, because at the end of the day, the only team I see being competitive in the future is Indiana and San Antonio and OKC, obviously. So, and you can even throw Memphis in there. But I think right now you already have the all-time greats duking it out. Like the Wizards are not going to compete with them. Like even if you make a miracle run to the finals, because in the East you just got to get past Boston, essentially. So, but yeah, this segment's gone on for a little bit longer than we had anticipated. But any final thoughts? Just any closing words with the Wizards and any early predictions for next season for them?
I mean, if they get their guy in the second pick this year, they should see improvement. Like, I wouldn't say steady, like, play-in improvement, but I think on the cusp of getting there.
Yeah.
I would hope that's improvement for them.
They'll be 1 year away from playing next year.
Yeah.
I have a hot take.
Go.
I think they're going to tank for Cooper Flag.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That could be something.
tank
Yeah.
for Cooper.
I don't think they're good enough to be in the playoffs. I just don't think they will.
I think that's either that or Detroit type.
I
of thing.
hope for
No, Detroit's gonna
Cooper's
be
sake
better.
that he doesn't go to Washington.
I hope he does, because I
Yeah.
think that will kind of kickstart them. They just need something. Like they need anything at this
Okay,
rate.
okay.
Because I don't know what the deal is with Washington, but they see there's been so much notable discourse around and dysfunction around the league, like with us when we blew it up, with the Jazz when they blew it up. Everyone's kind of just forgetting about Washington because of the Pistons, I think, because they
Yeah.
were so bad. But the Pistons are set up better for the future. So, yeah, we shall see. But
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
yeah, let's get into the next story.
If I'm being honest with you, Twitter, keep this in.
Yeah.
Twitter is not like bad. Like it's literally sports news. Like you could just follow all sports people and just get the news and you can watch
it's
highlights.
Not that, it's not that. But it's mostly just I just don't want to be distracted on
Twitter.
social medias. I feel
Okay.
like Twitter would take up a lot of my time if I
No.
get sucked into it.
No, I
Well,
don't think he would.
For me, I do because
Yes.
I interact with so many people on
That's
Twitter,
why.
and I love all my followers. Shout out y'all. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to say
Listen.
followers. That sounds too degrading. My friends,
No, your followers.
Yeah, your friends.
but all my followers are my friends. Essentially, there's not one follower I have that isn't my friend.
So you're telling me
Okay.
I think you have 780 people following, those are all, you know, every single person.
Every single person I've interacted with at least once in my life, whether it's in person or through Twitter.
Wow.
So whether it's because
I cannot say that.
obviously I have everyone I grew up with from my hometown, which I'm not going to dox myself. I'm not going to say it, but everyone from my hometown, everyone from school, and then
Okay.
everyone from Nets World, all the people from
Interesting.
Liverpool Twitter because I'm a Liverpool fan,
Yeah. Okay.
So-
I can never say that.
and obviously
Wow.
all my Denver fam too. So
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a Denver fan. He said
I'm
it.
not. I'm a Nets fan.
No, you're Denver.
I am a
Denver
Nets
fan.
fan.
Let's be honest, you're
You're
Denver.
a Denver
Bro,
fan.
bro, if the Nets and Nuggets play in the finals, I'm going to be so insufferable for all my Denver friends, bro. I'm telling you.
You're definitely a Denver Nuggets apologist, though.
I definitely am,
You
that's for
Yeah.
sure.
absolutely are.
I definitely do. The Nuggets and the Blazers, I have a soft spot for.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Let's get into it.
But
go.
let's get into it. Even though Gio, you're what are you? You're a Thunder fan. You're a Wizards fan.
Not a Thunder fan.
You're a Rockets
He's
fan.
a Clippers
You're
I'm
a
a
Clippers
former,
fan.
former all of that.
Yeah, you know, I
Former.
actually want to know. Let us know in the comments. Are you a team fan or are you a player stan? Do you follow the player when they leave the team, or are you team always? Players are temporary.
I think for me, it's always team.
For me, it's always team.
Yeah.
Basketball's not
I-
my first sport. Football's my first sport. So
Right.
for basketball, I'll just follow players.
So what if Russell Westbrook decides to like be a Vikings fan? Are you just gonna ditch the
Nah.
Niners?
Not a chance. I'm too loyal to the Niners.
Yeah, no.
Football's
Yeah.
my sport, so
Yeah, I would say basketball's mine. Either basketball
I-
or the Prem.
Yeah, baseball, soccer, football. Those four I know equally as well.
Yeah.
For me, it's basketball, soccer, and golf.
Yeah.
I'm one of the psychos that watch golf every weekend.
There's nothing wrong with that. I could watch golf.
that's crazy.
Yeah. It's when you play the game, because I do golf. It is just it's really enjoyable watching it, especially because a lot of these guys can do things like I'm a good golfer, but like I'm not pro level. So like in my heyday, I was like I was playing really well,
Right.
but nothing of tour note. Like I've shot under par a couple times, but I can't do it 4 times in a row, and win tournaments.
I've,
stuff like that.
I've never shot under par. It's always over.
Yeah, no. It's whenever you're starting, it's always over. But
What's crazy is I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
We'll explain it to you when we go.
yeah, you'll explain
We'll
it. Yeah,
we'll
We're going-
figure it out.
We're going
I don't
golfing
know
next
what
week.
under
so-
par,
We'll
over
explain
par.
it.
I think
Yeah,
it'll be your
all
first
that.
time on the course too.
It will be.
So that should be fun. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about the player stand or team thing, and
Yeah.
let us know
Yeah.
just what your favorite sport is if you play anything or anything of that nature. But into the next story, this was supposed to be like a deeper convo, but a lot of what we saw this past week or week and a half left a lot to be desired. And we're going to talk about the conference finals, the East and the West. I mean, I'll let you decide, Gio. Which one do you want to talk about first? And
Let's do West.
the West, okay.
Yeah.
So we saw the West. This one ended sometime
4-1.
last week. I at some point I'll be on top of dates and everything, but I just don't feel like. I lost track of time ever since I graduated high school. So the Western Conference Final ended last week. Ended in 5 games with Dallas Mavericks prevailing over the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it was just a weird series. Everyone thought the high that Minnesota was on against Denver just completely
Wait.
fell off a cliff against Dallas.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Before we
Yeah.
get into that, was I the only one that predicted the matchup right? I said I had Celtics Mavs.
He
You
did.
guys had Pacers.
He did.
Timberwolves for both.
No, I had Celtics,
I had
Timberwolves.
I had Celtics if Porzingis came back, but he didn't need to come
Yeah.
back. So essentially, we were kind of both right and wrong.
Okay.
And in my main predictions on Twitter, I did put the Celtics in the finals.
Yo, how
against-
about Mavs? You had Mavs or you had Tims?
I had the Timberwolves.
Okay.
But it is what it is. I thought the Mavericks were very capable because once Denver got bounced, I thought the West was wide open.
Yeah.
So it could have been anyone. But I do have a little fun fact to actually open up this segment with because it's actually quite funny. So we saw last year the Minnesota Timberwolves lost in 5 games to the Denver Nuggets in round 1. Okay. They went down 0-3 in the series. Okay. Anthony Edwards plays out of his mind in game 4. They win in overtime. And then in game 5, they wear that gray jersey with the green accent and they lose and they get eliminated.
Wow.
This year in the Western Conference Finals, they go down 0-3 against the Dallas Mavericks. They win game 4. They wear that same gray and green jersey in game 5 and they lose.
Wow.
And this
Interesting.
was the first jersey this season that was not white in the playoffs that they wore.
Oh wow.
They've been wearing white the entirety of this year's playoffs.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Because I'm not going to lie, when I turned on the game, because I missed the first half, I turned on the game when I got home, and sometimes I forget to reset the box, and sometimes YouTube is still open, and it plays like random highlights if I keep it on. I thought I was watching a replay of like a regular season game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I thought they were going to wear white.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
yeah. But
That's interesting.
yeah, so essentially, the Timberwolves completely fell flat on their face after taking down Denver. The Mavs prevail. They're going to be representing the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. And surprise, surprise, Luka Doncic, Western Conference Finals MVP, the third ever player to win that behind Steph and Jokic. Just your thoughts on the series, you.
Boring.
Really?
Very boring series. Unentertained the whole time, honestly. Just the Mavs were just the better team, and it was really sad because I wanted to see Edwards win so bad. But, I mean, Luka was my pick for MVP of the regular season, and then he just showed us, he showed me, he showed America why he should have been the MVP.
Cap.
Because he's still playing. And guess what? Your MVP is sitting at home on his couch. Or
No,
maybe he's on a horse.
He's sitting on the stands at a horse race.
He might be on the horse.
Right.
But either way, he's watching Luka.
But
right now.
I mean, if you think about it, like if you look at other MVP candidates that have flopped, mainly last year, like Jokic didn't play bad. Jokic dominated. Like he put together like at least 3 all-time performances in those 12 games that he played. So
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Luka just dominated. Kyrie just dominated. And Edwards didn't really have an answer for the way that the Mavericks were attacking him on defense.
Right.
They were just bringing all the focus towards Edwards, and there was nowhere for him to go. It looked really hopeless for him.
It seemed like there was a sign too, because you saw since Game 5 of the Denver series, they started sending doubles at Ant.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to do.
He didn't know what to do.
That just made Dallas's job so much easier. Obviously, if Minnesota had advanced, which they did, because I do think, I mean, keep in mind, Ant's only 22, and we're putting expectations like he's 30. Like he's not. He's still not even close to his prime. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
He's at least 4 or 5 years removed from his prime. Because typically, NBA players reach their prime when they're like 27, 28, and they'll typically exit their prime when they're about 31, 32.
Yeah, but I did see some good things from Anthony Edwards when he was getting approached by double teams throughout the series.
Yeah.
He started to improve throughout the games. I noticed that. Okay, I'm like, okay, this is good. We're seeing some improvement. You're not going to win the series.
Right.
But maybe for next year, this is great experience that he gained this playoff this year.
Yeah.
So,
and this is the deepest run he's made. Obviously, I think it's his 3rd year in a row in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I mean, he's perfect in the second round, 1-0. So, I guess, I mean, that's something to take into account. I think the one thing I want to talk about before we get into your thoughts, before we move on to the East, we saw at the end of Game 7, and I'm only mentioning this because the tweet went viral.
Oh, I know.
Game 7 of
Game 7 of the Nuggets.
Nuggets.
And
This is why you need Twitter, so he knows.
This is
I
why
know.
you
I
need
know
Twitter.
exactly what he's talking
yeah.
about.
So I'll put the tweet up on.
That's why I have you guys to tell me.
No, but
No,
you
but
need
you,
Twitter.
You,
so-
I know exactly what he's talking about.
I'll put the tweet up on the screen.
Okay.
Like sometimes they show like clips and audio of like what players are saying and stuff like that. So Ant got the rebound after that missed 3 at the end, sort of waving towards the crowd, and then Jaden McDaniels tried like a dunk contest type dunk and missed and everything like that. And it's the unwritten rules, and a lot of players, especially the European players, are all about respect, and Jokic took issue with that and everything of that nature. And that I'm a big believer of karma and basketball karma. So to me, when something like that happens, it's not going to end well. We saw this. I mean, look at your shirt, right? FDU, we are our alma mater. The same thing happened to us with FAU. They tried a showboat dunk at the end of the second round game. And I was like, basketball karma will get them. They lost in the buzzer at the Final Four, and they got bounced in the first round this year. So, and I made the tweet, and it was just like, something about basketball karma. Joker tried to warn them, some corny ass line. The tweet blew up. All 29 fan bases, aside from Minnesota, were in agreement with me, which was quite funny. But look, I think basketball karma did its thing here. And yes, I thought the Mavs were the better team, but at the end of the day, I also think the Wolves did it to themselves. I think if they win Game 3 in the second round, I don't think they deal with any of this because, I think it kind of was a trade-off because Denver wasted all their energy trying to get back in, and then Minnesota wasted their energy winning in Game 6 and 7.
Wow.
So it's hard because Dallas was just constant throughout. They were just very still through the first round against the Clippers. They were very still against OKC. Yeah, they choked a game or two, but there was nothing where they had to like overcome double-digit leads or 2-game deficits.
Yeah.
So that's where that's where I kind of saw it. But for me, I think basketball karma played a role here.
Let me ask you something, Tyler.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one player on the Timberwolves for the reason why they lost, who would you pick?
Oh,
I think that's on Rudy.
You can answer.
I think it's on Rudy.
I got to go with Cat, man.
Cat, I agree.
I think either or. I think the big three, they're all liable.
I have a little bit more leniency for Rudy Gobert than others. I understand what he does and what his role is. And again, that kind of goes back to people not understanding certain players' games and just the systems that teams run. And in the sense of that winning's important and that winning DPOY, like I understand Wemby's probably the best defender in the NBA, but his team won like 20 games compared to Rudy was anchoring the best defense in the NBA in the regular season. And I don't understand why I understand you're the DPOY, but in this era of the NBA, offense mostly beats defense in the sense where that Rudy is not going to stop Jokic. No one's going to stop Jokic. And why do you expect Rudy, if you look at his player build, to stop Luka? Like how? Like this is not going to happen.
Right.
So I understand that. Offensively, I can definitely make the argument, but I think the way Cat's been playing, he was abysmal in this series.
Yeah.
And I assume you're kind of in agreement with me on
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Super inconsistent.
I think both at the first 2 games, him and Ant were shooting like under 30%.
Yeah.
It was
under
bad.
40.
Yeah.
So if they shot even at least above 45, they probably would have gotten a game or two, even both, and made it a 7-game series like I was going to say it was.
Yeah.
But they showed up in Game 4. Ant played out of his mind. Cat was amazing. They all walked out together saying, we're down 3-1. Now it's on our hands. Same type of thing. Like he was saying, the bad karma. They got cocky with saying they got the game back to bring it back to game. They lost in Game 5.
I mean, history almost repeated itself. I'm not going to lie, because we saw last year the ESPN conference finals was a sweep, and the TNT conference finals, the lower seed went down 3-0 and won Game 5. Obviously, the Heat blew games 5 and 6, but yeah, it's really weird. But I'll ask you this as the closing segment for this one: was this Karl Anthony Towns' final game in a Timberwolves uniform?
Oh, I don't know. I think
I can't let you sit on the fence. We don't sit on the fence here very often. We're going to need you to make a firm decision because that's what Gio would want me to do.
Yes.
going off of you two, I think yes. I think they're going to move him, keep Gobert, of course, get him a new change of scenery. Add him to a contender that needs a big body power forward who can probably restructure his shooting, his consistency. I think that's what he needs. I think Minnesota's been great to him. It's his team that drafted him. It's his hometown team ever since he started there. But, sometimes you have to part ways. If you see that the improvement for him in the playoffs has not gotten incrementally better, even though they've had a small sample size, but if he's bonkering and just the important games for you, and you see your big man Rudy, who's a DPOY, doing so, well with his job, and Cat's not scoring, and you can fill in that need with another player that fills that scoring spot. Move on from Cat. You could draft capital, you may get a few young players in return, but you kind of take the downside if you're moving Cat to another playoff contender, whether it's in your conference or not, and he just goes off, and you lose your guy that probably could have helped you. So if I'm them, I'd probably move him to someone that's not in their conference.
Okay.
I think
so
definitely move him to the East.
who would you replace Cat with?
If you're replacing Cat,
It's team dependent. Do you start Nas? I mean, do you start Nas Reed?
Yeah,
I think it depends on who you get back. Because obviously, if you trade him to the Knicks, for example, they're going to probably get back Randall, and Randall would start. Now, granted, we've seen situations where players get flipped. Like we saw Drew Holiday get flipped from Portland after being traded from Milwaukee.
Yep.
So that could happen where they flip Randall for someone else. If I'm Minnesota, I'm looking for someone younger. Because eventually in a year or two, you're going to wind up replacing Rudy Gobert anyways, because his contract is too complicated to get off of right now.
Yeah.
So I think it really depends. I could see him staying in the West. If Golden State comes with a good offer, I think Minnesota should definitely look into it.
It's so hard because I feel like it would bite them in the ass if he goes off and in a series. If they play him in a series and he just goes off,
but at the end of the day, if you trade a player within a conference, you're not very confident on their ability. Because if you trade someone to the other conference, you're terrified of them. But if you if Golden State sends over Kuminga for Cat, how do you not say no to that?
Yeah,
I'm saying no to that.
No,
if you're looking at the future, if you're trying to not be a one and done champion, if you're trying to build, because he'll develop with Ant and develop with all those guys, he's a piece that's going to be a really good player in the future.
Kuminga,
yes. Kuminga's going to be very good.
Big building block.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, like the Timberwolves have no shooting. Cat provides that, and he's 7 foot.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying
you
there.
Can add shooters.
But at the end of the day, when your shooter that says he's the best big man shooter ever made 2 threes in his first 4 games of the series, like he was not trustworthy from 3 in that series. And
in that series,
but the conference finals and finals are so different compared to the first 2 rounds.
It's playoff
basketball, but
and they're playing against the Nuggets before that.
But like LeBron said, the conference finals when everything really kicks into high gear. That's when every possession gets even more serious than before. And the Nuggets were not playing serious in that second round. I think we can all agree on that.
I would disagree, but
I mean, you saw the way they played all playoffs. Outside of maybe Game 5 of the Minnesota series, I think they definitely could have played a lot better. Yeah. But look, I just don't think Cat fits their timeline anymore in the sense of his contract, the new CBA. And I think in this era of the NBA, you need to get younger because the older guys are making too much money. And Cat's just not showed up in the big moments, I think, a little too many times. But that's just me. I mean, do you have any closing thoughts with that? I know it's a more controversial opinion.
I think I would keep Cat. Just because of all the chemistry that they've built. And I also think that Edwards would want to keep Cat as well.
Right.
And so those 2 reasons, like they've been so successful this season, and so I don't see a reason why you would break it up. I also think Cat still has plenty of years to play.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's mainly financial purposes of why you get rid of him, but there are actual playing there's playing concerns that I have with Cat.
I personally get rid of Gobert.
But that's harder. Gobert's locked up under a big contract. Cat's going to expire, I think, in a year or 2, and you have to pay Cat like $50 or $60 million in like a year.
Okay.
So it's just very complicated for Minnesota, and I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. But either way, I still feel like it's ideal if Gobert goes, Cat moves to center, Nas Reed comes to power forward. I think that is a fire lineup right there.
Yeah,
because if you ask me, I genuinely think Cat is the better one-on-one defender.
Yeah,
better than Gobert.
Oh, he
easily.
is without a doubt. Rudy's a help defender.
Yeah.
So, but we shall see essentially with that. Yeah. But yeah, let's move on to the East. All right, into the East, the Eastern Conference Finals. This was very reminiscent of the Western Conference Finals last year between the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers. This was the first year with this new Celtics super team, adding Holiday and Porzingis, albeit Porzingis didn't play. And obviously the Pacers with their newfound duo of Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam. The Pacers actually played really well throughout the first 45 minutes of every game, and they lost every single game.
Yeah.
It is the most competitive sweep in NBA playoff history. I think it was the least points differential
This
across
is
the
true?
games. Yes.
Or you're just saying
The
that?
top three actually. Number one is this one. Number two was the Nets Celtics in 2022, and then number three, I believe, was the Lakers Nuggets last year.
Wow.
So this was the most competitive sweep. Every game was close. I mean, the Celtics literally came back with 10 seconds left in like 2 games. We did see Tyrese Halliburton get injured after game two or three.
Two.
It was game two. So unfortunately, that kind of spelled the end for Indiana. There is one player, though, that did step up in Andrew Nemhard, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then on the Celtics end, I mean, they kind of got what they needed from Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I think they were the two that stood out for me the most. Jaylen Brown was named Eastern Conference Finals MVP over Jason Tatum. I think he beat him out by 2 votes. So I think like 9 people vote on it. So that way there's no tie. But yeah, the Celtics will be representing the Eastern Conference in the 2024 Finals, and they will be taking on the Dallas Mavericks. Game 1 at the time when this episode comes out. Game 1 is tomorrow in Boston. So it should be interesting. I think there's like a day or two in between like each game. But I'll go over to you first, Antoine. Really brutal for Indiana, but obviously the game's the game. Just thoughts on this series as a whole.
Yeah, I think for this we'll just talk Pacers. We'll get into Celtics when we get into the finals matchup. But they left everything on the court in this series. I know losing their leader in Hallie drains them a lot. But they have guys, like I said, in the next series, they have depth for days. And they have the depth that steps up. I know Nemhard starts, but McConnell steps in. Ben Shepherd steps in. Siakam, we knew Siakam's going to be what he's doing with no Hallie, and he'll be back. They're going to sign him long term. He's going to be there for a long time. Miles Turner was a little disappointing in the series. Didn't see his threes against the Knicks he had. He's just someone that I didn't see a lot from. He's got to get better with that. I'm sure they're going to keep him around. We'll see if they do move him. But I think going back to the backcourt that they have with Nemhard, of course, Hallie when he's healthy, TJ. Also, we forget no Benedict Mathurin as well. He'll be back next year. That's another backcourt piece they have.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to decide if they do keep Nemhard starting or Mathurin. I would definitely keep Nemhard. Keep Mathurin on the bench with the 6-man rotation with TJ. And you go from there.
TJ might not be back. He's a free agent.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
He
So
may have played his way out of Indiana. We don't know.
We'll see. If that's the case, then Ben Shepherd might step in easily.
Yeah, we'll
to
see.
replace him. But Nemhard is a big talking point for just how he handled games 3 and 4. He had over 25 points, I think, in both games.
Yeah, he had,
Game 4, he had 30. Game 4, he had 32.
He had like 28 or 26 in game 3, and then in game 4 he had 32 and 13 assists.
Yeah, so dishing out the ball. We always hacked on him for couldn't guard Jalen Brunson. Brunson he's not there. Brunson just doing his work. But Nemhard offensively is way more gifted defensively. If he works on a defensive game, you're looking at a guy that could potentially be a perennial all-star for a long time, I think, in my eyes. If he gets better defensively and he locks up and learns a little bit probably from TJ being a good defender and maybe a little bit from Siakam.
I have a question really fast. What is perennial all-star? I never knew what that meant.
It's kind of like someone that's always going to be an all-star, just like always have. Because he's getting comparisons to Dallas Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
Because Brunson was playing so unbelievably well when Luka wasn't on the floor.
Right.
And obviously he got his opportunity with the Knicks and is popping off. And, Nemhard is making $2 million this year.
As a second-round draft
So there's a chance he could wind up elsewhere.
I think he'll stick around.
I think the Pacers should pay him without a doubt. You still have to pay Siakam, but I think the Pacers are actually, based on how the East is, the Pacers are contenders. Let's be honest. This was no fluky run. I think the Pacers are legit. I think they're here, and I just think this was their first year. This was Miles Turner's first good year. I think they just need the experience under their belt. Yeah. And I think they've definitely exceeded everyone's expectations. It just sucks that the teams they went up against were injured, but I still, even with the injuries, people were still picking the Bucks and the Knicks over them. I mean, people were saying the Knicks were going to stomp all over them, when in reality that didn't happen.
They're going to have to reinforce. I mean, they have the depth. I know losing Hallie is big. If it was like a different player, like a Neesmith, you could fill him in with who else is their backup small for it? Maybe another Ben Shepherd.
Neesmith is good. They have Obi Toppin still.
Toppin, of course. But they need. They're gonna probably reinforce the big men. I think Siakam stays, turns is they could probably let go of Jalen Smith. They could probably need another backup center. I would think they need someone.
Isaiah Jackson.
Oh, Jackson's there.
He's good.
That's my guy.
I know he's your guy, but I don't know if he's the guy
He's
for the
that
future.
guy.
He's that guy, but he's not the guy.
If he takes like a Nemhard step next year, yes.
He doesn't get enough playing time.
The player I'm more curious about with I have a question for you, Gio. But before I answer that, the player that I'm more curious about next year, what are we going to see in the second year of Jarris Walker?
That's another thing that. When they drafted him, I loved him. He went to Texas. He was their big guy to replace Miles Turner, I felt like. Because they were so disappointed in him that they were like, Jarris Walker is going to be the replacement. And he was sent up and down through the G League.
I don't know if they were so convinced on trading Turner because they gave him an extension last year.
Turner's not that bad. I don't know what you guys are saying.
I think, no.
Turner's pretty good.
Turner's had the Mitchell Robinson issue with his feet.
Yeah, but he's always been pretty good.
They need to, well, now they got Siakam. I think Walker definitely was in that role before they got Siakam.
Well, obviously,
and then now Walker's getting that treatment, but they need to play him. He's one of their
he's a
good
rookie.
picks.
He's a rookie. They're not going to play him in the playoffs.
He has high upside. He was great in college. I think you give him some time next year. If you don't bring in any big men, you give him minutes off the bench with Isaiah Jackson and in the second unit. Obviously, if you're going to start Siakam and Turner, and even if injuries go down, you bring in Isaiah, you bring in Walker, and you see what you have. If Siakam gets injured or Turner goes down, we're hoping not, but if they do, you have Walker that's ready to step in, and that's the top draft pick, and you see what you have. Sort of like an Isaiah Hartenstein situation where Mitch goes down, Hartenstein's the backup big, making $10 million a year.
Yeah,
Phil's in now is going to probably back 3 times what he was making on a yearly basis.
Yeah,
so. It's a good problem to have if you're Indiana, if Walker and Jackson work well on their rookie deals. But then once they expire, and if they're still playing the same capability they are, then
you got to make a choice.
You decide if you keep one or the other, you sign both, you figure it out. But it's a good problem for them to have them right now. And in being contenders, you have them, and they help you right now.
Right.
And then you go from there.
Now, my question for you, Gio, because I know we like to talk about coaching a lot, and bad coaching can really come into play. And I want to talk about Rick Carlisle in the sense that I think X's and O's wise, he's a great coach. I mean, he's amazing. But I think when it comes down to the last minute of the game, when it comes down to rotations, being stubborn, and just when it comes down to not calling a timeout, I think that cost them in almost every game. Just what did you see essentially from Rick Carlisle? And does that give you concerns for the Pacers next season? Do you think they should start considering maybe should they keep him? Should they move on?
I don't think so. I think he's a good coach. I think he stays. And I mean, when it comes to being stubborn and not taking players out or not putting players in or whatever it is, I feel like he's just like an old school style of a coach where it's like he's just going to go with the guys that he already had planned to go in, and he believes in them. And he believes that they're going to produce enough for that, for them to win a game. So I don't see an issue with that because sometimes he's right in those situations.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do you think
you can't always be right?
Do you think people said he cost them the series? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't.
No.
I think the Celtics were the better team. I don't think Rick Carlisle lost the Pacers.
Well, I mean,
series.
it's tough because obviously he didn't call a timeout when they were up 3 in Game 3. And they kind of choked that game away because of that. They didn't foul Jaylen Brown in Game 1, and they let him get a 3 to tie the game. And it's coaching mistakes like that. I'm not saying he's the reason they lost the series, but it's coaching mistakes like that.
If Brown misses at 3, then it's a great decision to not foul him.
Right, but at the end of the day, you're running the risk. You should always foul the person up 3 with no time left on the clock, because at the end of the day, there wasn't enough time for him to just intentionally miss because there was point something left on the clock. So, it's always just some food for thought.
And he also drew up an amazing play when they were lining up in that football formation.
Are you telling me that's a good play?
That's a great play.
He had an open shot.
Open look. Are you kidding me?
Well, sometimes you need it. Sometimes you need to think outside the box, and that's exactly what
awesome.
he did. Now, the play he ran for Tyrese Halliburton at the end of Game 1 was absolutely terrible, but that play, that impressed me.
That was cool. And if you saw Doug McDermott was wide open.
Oh yeah, Doug was open.
If they threw that pass to Doug, that's a game.
Yeah, bro. Could you imagine if you told me 6 years ago that Doug McDermott would hit a game-winning 3 in the Eastern Conference Finals? Could you
I would
imagine
believe
that would be sick. dude.
Dougie is knockdown.
If Dougie was like he was in his Cretan days, where he was like the leading scorer on that team, and he was just one of the best players in the country, and he translated that to the NBA.
He's
Yeah.
still one
It
of the
would've
best
been great.
shooters, though.
No,
Oh,
he
he's a
is.
sharpshooter.
He's a knockdown
Yeah, he
shooter,
is.
so I can believe that. you know.
Yeah, he's
last second three. I'll pass it to him.
He's washed though. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
he's
He is.
past his prime.
Yeah,
but
he
we
is.
love Dougie McBuckets, but yeah, no. I think as far as Indiana goes, I think they're fine. I think this was a really good test year for them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they almost wound up winning it all, I think is quite funny because I think they easily, if certain things happen, they easily could be representing the East in the finals. And I actually think they would have beaten Dallas if they had gotten there.
Wow.
Based on if they had closed off of those games against Boston the way they should have, I would have picked them against the Mavericks.
Okay.
That's a take.
So
That is
that is a
definitely a
take. That is a take.
Let me ask one quick question though
Yeah.
about the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw that the Celtics they swept the Pacers.
Yep.
But they did it in a way that was not super convincing.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to take this as a good sign for the Celtics that they swept the Pacers? Or are we
Mm.
going to take this as maybe a bad sign because all the games they played were very close? So are we going to take it as a good sign that they pulled out in those close games?
Right.
And they came out on top in those close games? Or the games were close, so it's like, okay, should we be scared?
Can I counter your question with another question?
Do it.
How did you feel after the Nuggets beat the Lakers last year in the Western Conference Finals? Because that was the same thing, no?
Okay.
Very close. The Nuggets were down in a lot of those games. Did you feel a level of confidence that the Nuggets would have beaten the Heat as opposed to do you feel like the Celtics wouldn't have?
Okay.
Do you feel the same way about both of those teams? Because both incredibly dominant teams for both of their years.
Right.
And you saw them, I mean, they both played against very similar opponents. Obviously, one has, LeBron James, the other one doesn't. But, does that give you, did you have the same sort of feeling? I understand the Celtics didn't have Porzingis, but.
I think so.
Because in the playoffs, a win's a win. Mm-hmm. And I think with Boston, they didn't have to exert too much energy at all. I mean, they're 12-2 in the playoffs so far. So
you're taking it as a good sign?
I think it's a good sign in the sense that I think we're noticing now in the league, energy and rest are so important.
Yeah.
If you have to play a 7-game series like Indiana did, I think you probably lose energy in those final seconds of the game and you just have mental lapses.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a contributing factor. But for Boston, I think they're fine. I think Boston, the East sucks. I mean, let's be honest. They didn't have to exert too much energy. They didn't.
Okay.
They probably didn't even have to kick it into second gear, really ever. So
what do you think, Anthony? You want me to rephrase it?
No, I think. Oh my God, what's going
the
on?
mic's moving on you.
I think we just saw two competitive teams duke it out, and I think that's what playoff basketball should be. I don't want blowouts all the time. I mean, Indy on paper with Hallie, I think, is a strong 3-4 seed. They just had a regular season that was just different, I guess you could say. But in the playoffs, they were definitely a top 2-3 seed in my eyes. The way they played against us, the way they played on a Milwaukee team, without Giannis, and then even Boston keeping it close without Hallie for half of the series. Also up against a 1 seed that lost less than 20 games in the regular season. So, I don't know. It's definitely competitive, good basketball. I don't think it's a problem on the Celtics at all. I don't think it's not. I think you're worried if they're getting blown out, but by Indy without Hallie. But I don't think you're worrying them for close basketball. I think it's just playoff basketball. It should be close regardless.
And they came out with the victory. So at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah,
And
every playoff
credit to them.
Playoff teams that make it, they make it for their win, for how good they are, and they should not be shitting the bed. Excuse my language. Shooting in the playoffs,
swear,
losing by 30-20, keeping it close to what you want. It's
right.
We don't tune in to get the playoff basketball to watch a game up by 40 with 20 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
Plus, I think if you blow everyone out every night, you're going to take your foot off the gas. That's why I forgot who said it. It was one player said it last year during the playoffs. Like they had a big lead, team came back, they won, and they said I'd rather win by 6 than win by 30 because it keeps you awake.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a good mentality to have. If anyone remembers who it was, let me know. But I think it's obviously not the way you'd want to win a game because you just want to score as many points as you can. But at the end of the day, a win's a win in the playoffs essentially. And some wins are good signs, some wins are bad signs. But I think with this, it's just we just got to see what happens in the finals. I think this is going to be. I think it's going to be a very big test for this Boston Celtics team, and I think it's about time we finally get into it now.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. All right, into the main part of the show. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's the NBA Finals, 2024 NBA Finals to be exact, between the number 1 ranked Boston Celtics of the Eastern Conference and the number 5 ranked Dallas Mavericks of the Western Conference. This is the 3rd finals appearance in franchise history for the Dallas Mavericks. This is about like the 80 millionth for the Boston Celtics, trying to hang banner number 18. The Mavericks trying to hang banner number 2. So
Yeah.
a lot at stake here. This is a weird series in the sense of reunions and revenge games and everything of that nature. We all know that Antoine mentioned earlier, Gafford and Porzingis, both Wizards front court players,
Yep.
are going to be guarding each other, barring Porzingis is healthy, which I think he should be. There'll be the 5-5 matchup, down in the paint. Porzingis against Dallas. This is the reunion there. Kyrie in Boston is what everyone's talking about. Obviously, we saw a little sneak peek of that 2 years ago in the first round when he was with us in Brooklyn. Are there any other reunions I'm forgetting? I feel like I'm missing at least one more, but I could be wrong. This is also Jason Kidd. If the Mavs win the finals, he'll win the championship as a player for the Mavericks and a coach for the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool. It's not something you see very often.
Yeah.
So
Wait, I was saying Grant Williams getting moved from both
yes,
Yeah.
this is the freed from. This is called the We're Freed from Grant Williams
Oh
Bowl.
my goodness.
Or the Freed from Grant Williams Bowl.
He's
something
not
like
that bad of a player.
He's
man.
so bad.
He's
not
not
that
He's
bad.
not bad. The problem that the Mavs at least have with Grant Williams is the locker room, just him as a person. I guess
Really?
He wasn't like he kind of like
Some
made
issues?
people uncomfortable, and obviously with Boston, he poked the bear a little too many times.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I could understand within that regard. So obviously this is unlike any other playoff series. So we're going to take more of a deeper dive into both of these teams from all the way back to last season up until now. So obviously we'll start all the way back at the beginning. We'll start with the team that didn't make the playoffs, which was the Dallas Mavericks. Traded for Kyrie Irving at the deadline, or at least the week before the deadline, which broke my heart. And I still really haven't recovered from that specific week. It really did a lot of damage to me, considering the deadline before we lost 11 straight games. And then they just couldn't really get it together. And, they were put in a position where you either make the play-in or you miss it entirely and you get your own pick, because from the Porzingis trade, they gave the Knicks a top 10 protected first-round pick,
Yeah.
and obviously because they missed the play-in, I think they got fined for it. They were able to retain their 10th pick, which we'll get to in a minute. And obviously, there was nothing much really Dallas could do as far as that goes. When you tank, you can't really complain about winning if you're just trying to lose, essentially. And in said draft, the Mavericks drafted 10th. OKC had either the 9th pick or the 11th pick. They took Kason Wallace and swapped it with OKC, who took Derek Lively. And Derek Lively came over to Dallas, and the rest is kind of history from there. Do you want me to keep going with Dallas, or do you want to switch over to Boston and kind of do
going.
1 and 1?
Keep going.
Yeah, just get into Boston after Dallas.
Okay. So essentially with that was, I think, the big sort of pick. But again, you kind of seen it even with Golden State a couple of years ago. These teams, like I completely Englished, just left my body. Golden State in 2020, obviously were contenders, but they were hurt so bad that they had the lottery pick, and they got James Wiseman, albeit he did nothing, but they still won a championship 2 years later. So, I think this Derek Lively pick was big, and I'll go over to you first. Just thoughts on sort of that whole lead up into that draft. What kind of stuck out to you?
We didn't expect Lively to be this good, obviously, right?
Right.
We didn't expect that. So it's like the draft obviously is, to me at least, it's really luck. Because no matter how good a player is coming out of college, it doesn't always translate to the NBA. So, you just got to get lucky, I feel like, in the draft. And the same thing goes the opposite way. Like you might have a great player, or you might have a not that great of a player coming out of college, and then all of a sudden in the NBA they're a great player. You know what I mean? So it's you really kind of get lucky with those things, and the whole draft process is it's also like knowing the person who you're drafting. Like maybe they found something in Lively, like he was a man that was filled with hard work or character or someone that you can build with in the future. Like maybe it wasn't just his play that stuck out to them. So like there's a whole lot of things that you have to consider when you're drafting players, and then I guess they found the right pick in Lively.
Right.
So it's like
exactly.
Yeah,
I think it works, and it's so hard to talk about Dallas now because they're so good.
Yeah.
But when there was just constant dysfunction, I mean, there were talks of Luka wanting out, which I think is bullshit. But I think that was a good stepping stone that no one really expected. I think it was more of a you'll see kind of later on. And we saw in the offseason, they really didn't make great signings. Grant Williams, Seth Curry, Rashawn Holmes, I think they traded for last year. Not the greatest from what we saw. Obviously, they had like Christian Wood and company like beforehand, but Dallas, that kind of showed Dallas had some good games here and there. But they were mostly mid. They were in the play-in. They were out of the play-in at some points, and the trade deadline came around. And I'll throw that over to you because I know you love your trade talks and you love your thing. And I also have a work email I need to reply to, so I need you to take over for just a second. I'm so sorry, guys.
No, but just PJ and Gaff saved their season because without him, I don't think they make it to the finals. They probably get bounced for a second round
100%.
with what they had, barring if Lively was still this good, if he was starting, getting minutes now off the bench with Gaff there. But PJ and Gaff, I loved PJ in Charlotte. He was a guy that I thought needed to move from there just because when they drafted him, they were kind of still had Gordon Hayward. They still had Terry. They were kind of in that weird transition phase where Terry was going off in that one season. PJ just got there. Gordon Hayward was there coming off of his Boston stint, and they signed him to a big deal. Then once they moved on from those guys, PJ was kind of the last one there.
Yeah.
They drafted Mark Williams. LaMelo Ball came in. PJ was kind of like that old guy still there with that old kind of regime, I guess, type of roster. And PJ, we knew was going to get moved. It was just timing. They were like, they're going to keep him, they're going to move him. Dallas swoops in, picks him up. Big acquisition. I love PJ and what he brings to the table for any team.
Really? So you were always a believer in PJ?
I always loved PJ.
I wanted PJ in Brooklyn so
PJ,
bad, bro.
I've always loved
I'm not going to lie to the people. I was not a believer in PJ.
What was the reasoning? I want to know.
PJ was
Because
so great.
I feel like PJ was just
He was very underutilized in Charlotte, which is Charlotte would give his hand.
Everyone's underutilized,
But
bro. Come on.
I think he went to Kentucky, but he was just, when they drafted him, I was like, all right, that's a guy that I would want. And I was waiting for him to blossom on that team with Charlotte. He had his games where he was fantastic. He had his games where he was also awful, but it's a Charlotte team that's kind of up and down. And now you got him on a team in Dallas that utilizes him for what he brings, even with Gaff.
That's true.
Gaff in Washington, what is he getting in Washington? Nothing really
That's
there.
so true.
Gaff's getting
You know what I
minutes
feel
now.
like? I feel like there's so many players that are deserving to be in the NBA, but it's all about how the coaching and the scheme is able to utilize these players' strengths.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. There's so many players that are not in the league right now because the coaches didn't utilize their strengths to the best of their ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they didn't want to do the extra work.
Okay.
Because it can
That's
also
true.
be player
That
related.
also plays
If you
into
want to
it.
be great, you got to put the work in, and there's a lot of guys in the league that don't. Let's face it.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
I think, and that kind of goes both ways in the sense with PJ and Gafford, right? You have these two players on these two specifically ass teams with
I would call them-
Charlotte and Washington.
They're journeyman guys. They've been in the league.
No,
for a little
journeyman
bit.
means they hopped around teams, which they didn't.
I would say journeyman PJ with Charlotte, coming from what they were.
Yeah, but he
Finish your point.
Yeah,
Finish
a
your
journeyman
point.
is like Jay Crowder, essentially, someone that's been
Yeah.
passed around like a block.
Ish Smith.
Essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say with those guys, right? You have these players in ass situations with just a horror show front office with bad coaching, bad players, everything like that. But you see potential in them. That's
Okay.
why they're always floated around in trade rumors. And when both of them go to a team like Dallas in a situation where everyone's so welcoming and they're stable and everything like that, just kind of the aura Mark Cuban brings to the team, even though he's not the majority owner anymore. But they may have found something within themselves having this in common, where they have similar upbringings in the NBA of being on an ass team, and being counted out and not being called good enough and everything like that.
They definitely play with a chip on their shoulder.
They definitely do.
For sure.
And there's a difference between guys like them and guys like certain other players that I'm not going to name that need superstars around them to be competent, because there's a lot of guys that play with superstars, and once they leave, they get completely exposed in all ways around.
Yeah.
So I think with PJ and Gafford, I do think they play for the badge, as a lot of football fans always say, as in soccer, football, not not the NFL. But they do. I think they do whatever it takes. It's that blue collar mentality of taking charges and bodying up on defense and in the post and everything like that. And I think that's what great players do. They go the extra mile. And I respect the hell out of them for that, because you could see Luka and Kyrie are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, they're just obscenely good.
Right.
But you see Derek Jones and PJ
Right.
Washington
Yeah.
and Daniel Gafford,
All those guys.
Talk about that.
the energy they're bringing and just the way they're displaying it on and off the court. I think it's so big for this Dallas team.
Yeah.
And it's really carried them forward.
I don't think it's just the energy. Of course, that's huge. The energy is huge. Just momentum is everything in the playoffs.
Right.
But it's not just that. It's also the way they're constructed and how they fit together perfectly. Like Derek Jones, I think if he was on any other team, I don't think he would be as good as he is right now on the Mavericks.
Right.
That fit where he is on the Mavericks is absolutely perfect for him.
Exactly.
There's a bunch of guys that can jump out of the gym that are super crazy athletes like Derek Jones that are not in the NBA.
Like you.
Not like me.
Bro,
I'm not like Derek Jones.
you jump high as hell, bro.
I was dunking a little bit.
Yeah, bro, you
Not
be a
like-
little.
not like Derek Jones.
He was dunking before we started recording on my rim.
Pause. Basically,
My basketball rim outside.
basically, when if Gio's got NBA hops, I would say,
Really?
bro, you're 6'2" and can dunk. Like, most guys that are 6'2" can't dunk. Let's be honest.
Okay.
You jump higher than
Okay.
me, and I'm taller than you. So
Okay.
I can dunk also, but like, you're more of you have an easier time dunking. I don't have.
Okay.
I'm a little too white to jump that high.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, bro.
By the way, white men can jump.
I can jump. I'm
I'm
not
halfway.
like- that's right. That's true.
So we can do it.
you
okay.
can, yeah.
Speaking from my Italian side, but
Yeah.
let's get back. Let's get back
Let's-
to Derek
let's get back to
Jones.
this,
and-
yeah.
because I feel like him, Daniel Gafford, I think they are in the absolute perfect situation for them to maximize their potential.
Right.
And I think it's because of Luka, the way he affects, because those are not guys that have the ball in their hand or controlling offense. They need a guy like Luka or Kyrie to control the offense and feed them.
Right.
They thrive off that stuff.
Exactly.
Another thing I want to add, I want to applaud Dallas's front office for getting kids extension done during the playoffs, because I think that's a motivational statement to him that they believe him
Yes.
in this current state in time and are not evaluating him after a playoff exit,
Right.
whether regardless it's in the finals or not.
That's
I think
good.
it could go both ways though, because once you're signing your extension, you're not coaching for your job, and maybe you take your foot off the gas a bit. And
No,
you get relaxed.
I think for Kidd, that's not what he did.
We
think-
don't know that.
Well, but now
I think it put
it
confidence-
motivated him
It
to
definitely put
definitely get the
confidence
job
in.
done right now.
Right, yeah. And I think he's been a very questionable head coach for most of his career. We all know when he was with the Nets, the hit me when there's no timeouts,
Yeah.
to drink.
Yeah.
But I think he's definitely proving to be a good coach. I wouldn't say he's one of the best,
Right.
but I think he's good enough to get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing, right? Because at the end of the day, a championship's a championship. If you
Yeah.
can get that done.
And he's made the adjustments he had to make. You know?
Also,
He coached his ass off
Yes.
in the conference final.
another
Yes.
thing, the Mavs had Carlisle before Kidd. They had another great coach that's now in Indy and building that team up.
Might be
Just didn't work out with him in Dallas.
It might be a bald thing with the Mavs coaches. It might be.
Yeah. Didn't Carlisle coach Kidd when they won?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
This was the series against whatchamacallit. I forget which series it was, but I think that was like his first series win or something since the Mavs 2011 finals.
Wow.
So it could be a bald thing with Mavs coaches, just like
Yeah.
in the Prem. We're seeing a lot of success with bald coaches.
Kidd is
They're
the
smarter.
prototypical just Mavs head coach, was a Mav till he died. Of course, played for the Nets and other teams.
The
but-
Mavs were nowhere near his
But-
main team. It's not even close, but
No, but when I remember I remember him in a Mavs uni. I think probably because when we grew up, we remembered him playing towards the end of his career on the Mavs. I don't
No,
remember him playing on the. I remember playing on the Nets, but not a lot.
I started watching in 05, and he was fresh off those 2 finals runs with us.
Yeah.
So I'd watched Kid his final few years in I almost said Brooklyn in New Jersey, and then obviously I know he spent some time with the Knicks, and then
Yeah.
he went over to Dallas and kind of did his thing there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this
What
might be a little bit off topic,
No, go ahead.
Bro, it's fine.
but according to multiple studies, bald men are actually more intelligent than non-bald men.
Really?
So if you're out there and you're balding, you're just smarter than everyone else.
Do you want to know why?
I think
Look,
Wait, I'm gonna give you just a funny type.
they have a
of
higher IQ. Like, this is the facts.
I also
58%.
I have a funny reason why too. So
No,
yours
I have
first.
a funny reason why, but a joke that like one of my friends had growing up, like for girls, ladies, this is not. But when my friend would always say like, you know, girls dye their hair different colors, and when girls would make stupid comments and shit, he'd be like, oh, it's the bleach getting into your brains.
Oh wow.
I guess you can kind of say it's kind of the same thing for men that are older but not balding and are dyeing their hair that are not.
Yeah, I have a funnier reason.
But I don't think it's.
Let's hear your
it has
reason.
nothing to do with
Let's hear-
bleach.
let's hear his
It has
reason.
nothing to do with,
I like his
bleach
reason.
getting in their brains. But
Okay.
that was just a funny joke that
Yeah.
I always use, and I'm like, all right, that's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. Like
Yeah.
the bleach getting into our brains and our hair color or something
Never thought
else.
of it like that.
You know, I have a
Like-
funnier reason. I think when you absorb knowledge, I think some of it gets caught in your hair.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you're bald, there's nothing. But
It just goes right to
like-
Goes right to the
understand.
brain.
exactly, like
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
Well, isn't the hair connected to the skin? And then,
It's the
yeah,
top
but
of your
like
skin.
it's connected. But what if it gets caught like up here?
oh, it's like on the top.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like you blow dry your hair. Like, what is a bald man gonna blow dry his thoughts?
Never thought of that.
Yeah,
That's good.
exactly.
It's true.
But back to what we were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So I think with Dallas, I think the trade deadline was their biggest thing because I think at the end of the day, Luka just needed help, and now that Kyrie has kind of moved past everything drama related, we hope with everything that went on in Brooklyn because he had fault as well as the organization. I'm not going to dive into that because I don't want to. But I do think the situation humbled both sides. And I think he's carried that over now to Dallas. And I think it's really just avoided so many problems. And I think the players that he's playing with really kind of emotionally are kind of on the same sort of understanding with Kyrie.
Yeah.
Someone like PJ Washington, I think, really connects well with him.
Yeah. So does Luca.
Exactly.
They
yeah.
all-
Brothers. They're really brothers.
Yeah.
And they're really a duo that I never thought I'd ever think
Really?
of happening, but just did.
Yeah.
Because when you're Kyrie, I mean, like he played in Dallas, then he went to Boston. I mean, he played in Cleveland, then Boston, and then from Brooklyn. I thought he was going to be a net for life. If I'm being
Yeah.
honest. So I didn't really see him going to another team. But if I thought it was going to be the Lakers, if anything.
Yeah, when he
Back
first
with
got
LeBron.
moved there, I think all of us were like, "This isn't gonna work."
Right.
And then now it's
For
it's
the
for
Mavs,
Luka and
yeah.
Kyrie, but now it's.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this: I think this is the finals where we see the two best scoring duos in the league going head to head,
Yeah.
which is Kyrie and Luka and Jalen and Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be who's the better one that's gonna go out on top. I mean, I think we should go into Boston now as well.
Yeah, but
But-
I think real quick before we get into
Yeah.
Boston, we just got to recap real quick just Dallas's playoffs,
Okay.
just because some people don't pay attention to the first and second rounds. So round one, the Mavs eliminated Russell Westbrook.
Okay, really, bro? I didn't deserve that.
He had them losing in the first round too.
He literally had the Clippers winning the NBA Finals with
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook winning.
So the Mavs
Finals
were out in the
MVP.
first round.
Exactly. Now he had Kawhi. He had Kawhi as Finals MVP, but the Dallas Mavericks defeated the Los Angeles Clippers. Was it 6 games?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was in 6 games in the first round.
Yes.
Then they took.
We
on-
were a good team. We just lost to the finals team. All right, never mind. I'm not gonna rant right now. You can go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
So yeah, long story short, the Mavs sent Russell Westbrook to La Cancunville. Then in the second round, they went up against the number 1 seed in the Oklahoma City Thunder with Aura Man and company, with Aura Man, Abraham Lincoln, and the whole shebang.
7 games.
6 games.
Six.
They knocked them out in
Six.
6. They choked away Game 4 so bad.
Yeah.
And then they won Games 5 and 6. And then in the conference finals, as we just talked about before, they knocked out the Minnesota Timberwolves. Completely bitched the crap out of them. I mean, they got sunned. So they got owned. So, and now they go to the finals. So,
Man, that's really unfortunate.
any final words on the Mavs before we transition to Boston?
I mean, I didn't think it would work. Obviously, Kyrie and Luka, they're both very ball dominant. But looking back at it now, when Kyrie got traded over to the Mavs, I don't know why I didn't think it would work, because Luka's pretty much LeBron James, but less athletic, not more athletic, much less athletic.
Right.
You know, he passes, high usage rate. You know, so if you think about it, that combo kind of works. And
does.
Kyrie knows how to play with a person who has a high usage rate.
I think it also helps from the fact that Kyrie in the fourth quarter is just godly.
That too.
Like,
That too.
he's fourth quarter man for a reason.
The best 1B ever.
Yeah, I think the all-time,
Yeah.
the best as far as that goes. I think there was one final thing. Oh yeah, so essentially if the Mavs win the championship, right? Which we'll give our predictions after we talk about Boston. When the Mavs win if the Mavs win the championship, right? Instead of it being ball dominant, it really was balled dominant. So
Ball dominant.
But
Facts.
let's transition over to Boston.
Yes.
The Boston Celtics, with the 19-year-old man, Jason Tatum, is making his second NBA Finals appearance in 3 years at the age of 19. He's not actually 19, but
What?
He's not. He's 26.
no, he's 19. Bro, that's the one joke I'll like always find funny. Like, it'll never not be funny to me.
Just keep saying it. Even when it's not funny, just keep saying
Yeah,
it.
I'm always just gonna keep saying it. People, it's always funny. Like, whenever I say it on Twitter, so it's like, he's not 19, and I'm like, bro, come on, like, just like lighten up a bit. But yeah, I mean, the Boston Celtics, clearly the best team in the East. Last year, I think they were also the best team in the East last season too.
Yeah.
For being honest, kind of breezed past. They didn't breeze past Atlanta. They choked away a couple games and 1-6, but they still won. Then in the second round, they knocked out the Sixers in probably the funniest fashion. As an Embiid hater, I really was like so stressed, but then it just felt so good seeing them go up 38-10 in the third quarter of Game 7. But I mean, that was the game Tatum needed to show up, and he did. And then you go down 0-3 against Miami. You do all this work to come back, one of the very few teams to come back from 3-0.
Wow.
But still, no team has ever come back from 3-0 and won the series.
Right.
And they lose in Game 7
Man.
at the hands of a Jason Tatum rolled ankle at the beginning of the game. Otherwise, it could be a
man.
very different story.
You're right.
So, I mean, yeah, we're kind of just, I mean, the past two, you could say about this year and last year, very minimal things could have prevented us from back-to-back Nuggets Celtics finals,
Yeah.
which would have been so cinema. But I think this was good it was a good wake-up call for Boston, because I think they were unserious since getting rid of Ime Udoka, which they had to do. Over the offseason, not much buzz with the draft. They take Jordan Walsh, who I think is going to be really good in a few years, but he doesn't fit the timeline right now, so he's not going to play.
Yep.
I think they broke a record, I think, for trading the most picks in a single draft. They were just flipping second-round
Yeah.
picks like nothing.
Yeah.
Like every single pick. Like, oh, Boston's trading the 41st pick for the 43rd pick. And they're going to trade the 43rd pick for the 45th pick. It was ridiculous. The real work went on in free agency and in the offseason. And I think the main thing was the trades. You bring in Kristaps Porzingis. It was the second attempt that worked, because the first time they tried sending Brogdon over to the Clippers. But the Clippers were concerned about Brogdon's forearm injury he hurt against the Sixers last year. So they backed out. The trade fell apart.
Right.
So they found Memphis as the next third team. And they were too far in to back out. Memphis wanted Smart. They had to do it. So they get rid of Marcus Smart. They bring in Porzingis. A little bit of question mark surfaced from there.
Yeah.
And then the Bucks gave them a godsend in September, trading Dame to the Blazers for Drew Holiday and a bunch of picks and whatnot. And the Blazers obviously were not going to keep Holiday because he's at the end of his career. He wants to contend.
Yeah.
And I remember me and a few of the guys in NetSpace were talking about it, and I was just like, why are we trying to overanalyze this? Boston still has Malcolm Brogdon. The Blazers will take on that contract, and Drew Holiday will be a Boston Celtic. And 3 days later, I took a victory marathon because I called that from the start, and I think that was the best trade of the year.
Wow.
I think if Boston wins the title, that's the best trade.
Wow.
The fact that you have a low of Brogdon's injury losing his value, but the fact that Joe Cronin and Portland were able to take him on to give you Drew Holiday was perfect.
That's right.
And I don't think it worked out absolutely perfectly. And that was pretty much it with them. There wasn't much else that was done. And then really all the work went done at the trade deadline. Again, they bring in Xavier Tillman, but nothing really.
No.
The Celtics just confidently, consistently dominated the East all season long.
Yeah.
Won 64 games of basketball or 60-something games of basketball.
64.
64, yeah. So,
No sweat.
yeah, not at all.
Yeah, the thing with Boston, and they have two of probably the best scorers in the league with Brown and Tatum. They also have KP, which they needed a big guy, and they got him. Excuse me. Horford was signed a few years before KP. He was still kind of there. Now he filled them pretty good actually in the conference finals for what he was supposed to do. I thought he did really well.
I thought he did well last year.
Yeah,
Or the year before.
I think
always
he's
been
been
good.
fine.
He's so solid.
He's a veteran. When he was in Atlanta, he was of course the best player. He was there, but now he's still doing really good. Derek White, another guy they just got for nothing from Spurs. He's of course one of their guys that's going to be there for the long run. Drew, of course, they got. I also with Tyler, but I was not on Spaces. But I also when that trade happened, I was like, Drew's getting moved, and I was like, Boston fits perfectly. They need a point guard. They just gave up Marcus Smart. They have no point guard. Drew just fit there perfectly. And their bench isn't deep. Peyton Pritchard's probably the main guy that comes off that bench for them. Outside of Hauser,
Love
they
my
need
guy.
3-point shooting.
That's my X factor.
But no, Tatum and Brown are so fun to watch. I love Brown's game a lot more than Tatum's. I know that might get some hate, but I love watching Jaylen Brown.
I agree with you.
I think Brown is phenomenal. He gets he got the conference finals, but he does not get the amount of love that Tatum gets, which understandably so. But Brown is, I think, I don't think they're both 1A, 1B. I think they're both 1As.
I don't even think they're both 1As. I think this is the first time ever we've seen 2.5s. I think they're both they're a combined number one option. I think they're 0.5s.
Yeah.
I think it's so rare, but I think you're being too hard on Tatum as far as his game. He still has so much to develop because he's only 19. So that Gio wants me to keep doing it, bro. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I do agree in the sense that Brown's game is more fun to watch. Obviously, Tatum gets more publicity because, his son, and obviously
he was the top pick.
Yeah,
We talked about this last episode.
Yeah,
right?
we did.
Yeah.
He's been the main guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, last year we saw Brown signed a $307 million.
yeah.
Or it was either last year or this year he signed a $307 million contract and can't dribble with his left hand. So that's kind of where a lot of discourse kind of starts. And also, he was there first, and the fact that he's not the main guy is like the face of the Celtics. But I do think they're both 0.5 options. I think they're dependent on each other because without one of them, if one of them's hurt, I don't think they can get it done.
Yeah.
I think if one's not playing well, I think you can recoup with the guys around you because they both have their gravity.
Yeah.
Even when they're struggling, they're still a threat to score.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I didn't see that one coming. They're both 0.5s. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, the only thing better than a number one option is anything less than number one, right? So 0.5 essentially.
If Boston, this is not happening, but in a fantasy world, if the Celtics are offering me Tatum or Brown, if I'm the Knicks, I'm taking Jaylen Brown over Tatum.
Really?
100%.
Oh well, obviously.
taking
Why would
I'm taking Brown.
Why would Boston trade Tatum though? I just don't.
No,
see
I'm just
that.
saying in a fantasy
taking
world.
Tatum.
No, I'm taking Brown. 100%. No stutter. Taking Brown, and I'm going with it.
That's fair. Yeah.
I love them both, but
I think I know why.
Brown is
Because I think every Knicks guard only goes left. I think they need someone that can go right.
Okay.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he likes Brown.
I enjoy watching Jaylen Brown. So I love Tatum. I enjoy watching them both. Very but Brown, I just think gets. I know
like
there was a convo. I don't know. Stephen A was talking about it. I think a few years ago when they first made the playoffs together with them both, and he was saying that Jaylen Brown was so undervalued, and they need to. His game is so compared to Tatum. They don't talk about it as much. And I remember him saying that because I was watching it live, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I agree with this guy. And Stephen A says a lot of things that I don't agree with, but we still love him. But as a Knicks fan as well, we love Stephen A.
Yeah.
Knicks fans hate Stephen A. What are you talking about?
I like Stephen A.
Knicks fans on Twitter just call him.
He's all right.
It's like, will you call him a fake Knicks fan?
They
I
call
think I think basically with today's episode, he's become a Wizards fan with the amount of research he did for them. But
No, I am a fan of building teams and doing free agency shit. So once the playoffs come, I'm gonna try to rebuild the Hornets and the Pistons and the Spurs and everything else.
just
And we'll go
everyone.
from there.
Yeah.
like that.
But I think I do agree in the sense of Brown being undervalued, and I think he's finally starting to show his value now. It's just tough. I mean, because the Celtics could have had at least like 3 rings over the past like
Oh,
5
man.
years, bro. It's been, like even earlier than that.
Yeah.
they could have won so many championships, and the fact that they just seem to lose in very similar fashion every year, it's
Something
just
that's
really weird.
interesting is if they kept Kyrie on this team with them both, what would have happened? I don't think it would have worked at all, to be honest.
I disagree.
I disagree as well.
Yeah, how would it? If it's working with
That would be
Luka,
insane.
you're saying it's going to work with another guy that wants the ball in his hands.
Well, let me
with
tell you.
3 guys.
Well, let me tell you this, right? If you tell me that if you had Kyrie, Jaylen Brown at the 2, Tatum at the 3, Horford at the 4, and whoever at the 5, because it wouldn't be Porzingis.
Yeah.
I think you need a balance, and I think that they have a balance of, Kyrie is just Kyrie. Brown's a guard forward, so even if you had another guard like Derek White, you can play Jaylen Brown
Yeah.
at 3.
Oh, my goodness.
Tatum's a 3-4, and then you have anyone you want at the 5. Just plug in the decent enough center that can hold his
and
own.
the best part about it is all those guys know how to play off ball.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
That's when James Harden got to Brooklyn. Kyrie did not want to be the point guard anymore.
Wow.
So essentially, that was what he said. It's like, you're going to play point
Fair.
guard. I'm going to play shooting guard.
That could have been one of the best teams.
And look
Fair.
at Kyrie now. Kyrie's playing off ball. Brown,
Yeah.
Brown plays mostly
taking
off
the
ball.
ball.
Right? I think it's mainly Tatum and
It's
Holiday.
mainly Tatum
bringing
and
it up.
Holiday, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that's kind of the thing with Boston. And I think for me, too, especially just kind of looking through the way they dominated this postseason so far, right? You make quick work of Miami. You lose one. You're going to lose games in the playoffs. I think maybe they lost it a little bit more uncharacteristic than others, but you still won. You do the same thing against Cleveland, and then you sweep Indiana. Yeah, it was close, but I think the close wins make you better in the sense of just blowing everyone out. Because what do you
Yeah.
gain from that?
Yeah.
You advance, sure, yeah, but I think you advance to the finals with a lot to take away.
Yeah.
What not to do, what
Right.
to focus on, what to improve on.
Lessons learned. Yep. It's very true.
Yeah,
It's very true.
but
Do you want to get to predicts?
yeah. Do we have any final words on Boston though?
No. It's going to be a fun series, though. I'm
It will be a fun
excited.
series.
I
hope
hope,
so.
I hope it's not
Better
a
be, bro.
4-1 or
my
sweep.
goodness.
I wanted
I wouldn't
6-7
mind.
games.
I wouldn't mind a 4-1 if it's like a generational performance from one side, but
Yeah.
yeah, let's get into
get to
our
predicts.
official 2024 NBA Finals predictions. We're gonna put everything on the overlay over to the side of the screen, and I think it'll be that way from my perspective. So on that side of the screen, you'll see everything. We'll kind of just take it in turns, and we're going to do this a little bit differently in the sense where you're going to give your prediction, but you're going to give a breakdown of how each game in the series will go, for how long you
my
think it'll be.
God.
So
I
we're not
have no
looking for
idea.
scores. We're not looking for scores. We're just looking for the basics. So just say like, if you have Boston in 5, you just say, oh, Boston blows them out in game 1.
Yeah.
Luka buzzer beater in
Who
game
has
2,
home court?
stuff like that. Boston.
Boston.
They're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
So they have home
I can
court
start.
throughout the entire playoffs. So you want to start?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So I got Mavs in
Ooh.
7.
I keep forgetting you're a Celtics hater.
Mavs in 7. I don't believe the Celtics until they win it.
All right.
Okay. And so Boston has home court, and I think it's going to be one of those weird series where you're gonna have home teams playing not as good as the away team. I feel like the away team is going to steal a couple games
Okay.
from the home team. So I think the Mavs will make the series 1-1, then the Celtics will make it 2-2, right?
Yep.
And then it will be what's it called? 2-2. Series is tied, and then Game 5 is gonna be Celtics home, right?
Yeah.
So then Game 5, let's see. I got Celtics winning Game 5. The Mavs win the last 2. That's how I think it's gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mavs in 7.
Mavs in 7. I'm hoping it's 7 games.
I don't want it to be 7. I want it to kind of be 6. Game 7 stressed me out, bro.
I love Game 7.
I hate Game 7s.
Yeah, but
I
you know
love,
how
I love, but even like
for
still,
a fan though, like
for a
Game 7's
fan,
amazing.
like I've been through it with Game 7s being on the wrong end of it in the most heartbreaking way possible. I just don't wish that upon any other fans. Like it's just so like damaging.
Yeah.
I will disagree with you.
Okay.
I have Boston in 6.
Okay.
I think Boston redeems themselves from their 2022 flunders. I think they win game 1. I think it's like close until they pull away in the 4th. I think the Mavs win game 2 to tie it up.
Okay.
I think Boston takes both games in Dallas to go up 3-1.
Oh, wow.
I think the Mavs win a close one in game 5 in Boston. But in the end, I do think Boston gets it together and wins game 6 in the NBA Finals on the Mavs home court.
Oh, wow. 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 So Boston wins 3 games at the Mavs court.
The Boston Celtics are undefeated on the road this postseason.
Okay. Okay.
That is my basis. Boston, I think, is 8-0 on the road or 6-0 on the road. So I
What about
have
you,
that.
Anthony?
I'm going to be the deciding over here. So this is going to be a 7-game series.
Okay.
And the MVP of the finals.
Well, save that for after.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And then one player on this team that wins the finals is going to be the undoubtedly best player in the world going into next season. And it's going to be Mavs in 7. And you guys know who that
Ooh.
player is. It's going to be Luka.
Luka.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's going to be Mavs in 7.
You're a little far from the mic.
I was going to say, I sound a little like I'm underwater. There we go. It's going to be Mavs in 7. I'm going to go with him as well. I want it to be a 7-game series. I think they're going to split the first 4, 1-1, 1-1.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2-2 going back to Boston. I think we have a game winner from either Kyrie or Luka. I'm going to say Kyrie in game 5 at Boston.
Yeah.
They have the momentum going into game 6 at home, but I think Boston does not want to get eliminated on Dallas's home court and have them celebrate in their own. It's kind of, you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
So they go into game 6. I feel like they're going to not blow out, but win, I think, in respectful fashion where they have a comfortable lead. Game 7 back in Boston. I think it flips to Dallas taking their Boston's home court advantage and just running away with it. Kyrie's going to go off in game 7. I feel like in Boston because, with the chip on the shoulder, the adrenaline's going to have there in the game 7. Luka's going to go off as well. And I think that's going to be a close game in game 7. I think it's going to be probably a 5-point margin, I would say. I think every game is going to be within a 10-point margin, I would hope.
Yeah.
I hope. This is wishful thinking,
hope.
but
And then-
There's going to be at least one blowout.
Yeah.
That always
Yeah, I
happens.
think the blowout I said was game 5. I think they win comfortable fashion. Boston wins in comfortable fashion
Yeah.
in going into Boston. But I think,
Okay.
7 games, Mavs in 7.
Luka,
And Luka's
MVP.
Both of you, I assume, have Luka.
Yeah.
Luka's the new best player in the world, and it's going to surpass Jokic.
Okay.
Going into next
I
season.
can't agree with that second part. I just
No,
can't.
I
How?
I think that's
'Cause
going to be.
look at last year though.
They're both up there.
No, but they're both up there. But
Luka's going to pass for the next season going into it.
I don't think so. I think even if Luka wins the finals, I still think he's the second best player in the world behind Jokic.
Why?
Because, bro, if you look at the past 3 years, Jokic has always, in my opinion, been the best player in the world. But everyone's had Giannis. But Giannis played like ass in the playoffs, after winning the championship. So he kind of wasn't on that same pedestal as Jokic was, and obviously winning the finals. Jokic has years of experience getting up to that point. This is Luka's best playoff run yet, but he still has way better pieces around him than Jokic did with Denver last year. And even still, when they did the top 100 rankings last year, Jokic was second behind Giannis after winning the championship and after that insane run.
I wouldn't say way better, but you could say better.
I mean,
But I wouldn't say
Jokic has no
it's close.
All-Stars, no All-NBA players. Luka has a Hall of Famer and, what's his face?
That's it.
Role players.
Role players.
Yeah, they have a Hall of Famer, but they have the Hall of Famer enough as it is that. And Luka struggled in the first 2 series, so I can't give him best player in the world because you need to be dominant throughout the entire playoff run, and he hasn't been.
Still averaged around 26,
He still did,
27
but
points.
I
a
mean,
game.
we were talking about it during the Thunder series. He was not playing good. I can't just flip the script like that. He's second best for me.
Okay.
But I have a bit of a hot take. I do not think Jason Tatum will be Finals MVP.
Brown.
Jaylen Brown
Easily.
Okay.
will be Finals MVP.
Yeah.
But I think I think the one player to watch out for specifically in this series is Drew Holiday. Because I think it's so key having someone with championship experience.
Yeah.
And I think you've seen that over the years, right? You saw Drew Holiday himself back in 2021. Obviously, he didn't win the ring, but he knew what it took.
Yeah.
And obviously, you saw the whole Warriors and everything like that. Last year, KCP winning it with the Lakers just brings that sort of, you know what it takes, and you can help get it done. I think him and Derek White are going to be really key as far as a backcourt goes. And I think at the end of the day, Al Horford's going to be so important. But regardless, I still think whoever wins this finals, I still think will be at the very least top 3 in the world behind Jokic.
For sure.
So I think Brown or Tatum will be probably like 4, 5, maybe 3. And I think Luka will be number 2 in my opinion. I think there will be a very sizable gap from Jokic and Luka compared to who's 3rd. And I think that's really important. And I think it's Boston's time to finally win. I think this is the year to get it done. And I think they have all they need. If Porzingis is back, I think it's a surefire bet. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll hold my hands up and congratulate Dallas.
All right.
Okay.
I think that's all we got on that.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts on the NBA Finals?
No. I'm just hoping for good. I hope no injuries to big players.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't look forward
It's
to.
been rough,
I
man.
hope it goes 7 games, and I hope there's no injuries. That's it. And I hope
Yeah.
the refs call a good series. That's all I
Yeah.
want.
Right.
That's fine.
That's all I want.
Curious to see who the refs are because that's going to be important. The refs have played too big of a factor in this playoff so far.
Yeah.
It's been kind of
Yeah.
hard to watch, but Game 1 tips off tomorrow at the time this episode goes out. Everything will be on ESPN and ABC depending on what day. And yeah, we'll be ready to recap all of it once the season's over. So
Lovely.
let's get into the final segment.
Let's do it.
All right, into the final segment. We hope you guys are enjoying this episode. If you are, please make sure to give us a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, all that good stuff. We're currently 6 subscribers away from 1,000 at the time of recording. So basically, I'm sorry, Gio, you're probably gonna have to get a Twitter tomorrow. So I hope I might see you tomorrow. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see you make one. So it's gonna be good.
I'm dreading this.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun though. I'm telling you. Oh, that was a good one. You're gonna have a lot
what
of
you
fun.
get.
That's car.
That's what you get. That's what you get.
But anyways, into the final segment. This is something that we kind of started. It's not really more so of a debate. It's more so of just a shower thought. That's really what I think it is.
It's the question of the week.
Yeah, I think.
Or shower
I feel
thought.
like that's too basic because everyone
Tyler's
kinda does
shower
that.
thoughts. We
No,
should call
just-
this segment
well,
Tyler's shower
it's-
thoughts.
I'm not
No,
asking the
it's
question, though.
all of us.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
the
shower thoughts.
thought.
Yeah, the shower
Shower
I
thought.
love
thought.
it.
Shower thoughts.
That's what this segment is
Yeah.
called. Shower thoughts.
NBA shower thoughts. I love it.
Yeah, that's
go.
fine.
All right, so I have a decent one, and it's very relevant to the playoffs because obviously I'm on Twitter a lot, so I see a lot of this behavior happening, and it irks the crap out of me. It just needs to
I
stop.
know what he's gonna go. I know where he's going.
So what am I going to say?
I know where he's going.
Wait, tell me. Tell us.
Because I saw his tweets. He's going to women in the media.
No, it's not what I was going to.
Oh.
Not what I was going to.
Oh no! I thought you were saying women in the media, like just getting the slander, and we need to.
We talked about that last week, which you guys should go check out.
That was a good episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
we
was
did.
very
Too.
good.
Okay,
It's probably my favorite episode.
I thought
to
it
date.
was going
Was
to
it?
that.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to that, but okay, I'm wrong.
No, but it's not. This one is very prevalent to the NBA playoffs in the sense of there's been a lot of talk every year of the famous asterisks. That little star when you hit Shift and 8 on your keyboard, that pops up. It's the asterisks. And you see it with championship teams and all that stuff. And we're talking about it now with playoff runs. Like, the Pacers this is who the Pacers had to play to get to the conference finals. And just a compilation
Right.
of all the injuries and stuff like that. And, this is who Milwaukee went through and everything like that. The Lakers with the bubble and the Celtics and everything.
Yeah.
I want to know if you agree in the sense of should we be putting asterisks or asterisks? I don't know how the word's pronounced. Should we be putting the star on playoff runs? And does facing injured teams not make you as good and stuff like that? Or are there any exceptions to this?
What do you want to take that one?
I think I have
Go ahead.
a perfect answer for this.
Go.
Okay.
No, we're not putting asterisks because they are not making a bracket for who they're playing. The bracket is how the bracket is, and that's who they're playing, whether they like it or not. You can't, because injuries are going to happen. They're part of the game.
Right.
You're not going to prevent that. And the players themselves are not making their run into the playoffs, how to get into the finals.
Yeah.
They're playing who's in front of them and what's going into the next round. They're not picking and choosing. So there should not be any asterisk because of this. They are not making their opponents. They're not choosing. They're following how the playoffs are made with the bracket style, with the play-in, regardless how they're getting in.
Okay. Now I would say it depends, and it depends on what the criteria of the asterisks would be.
So I'm going to give
So
you a
there's-
perfect example.
Yeah, there's a few. So
The bubble.
Okay.
that's one. There's the
So
bubble.
give me so
there's
let's get to that
yeah,
example.
so the bubble is one. There's playing injured teams. That's two. There's just having an easy path to the finals. There's three.
Right.
The whole play-in nonsense with what we're seeing over the past couple of years, right? With play-in teams making deep runs and all that stuff. That's basically been the main ones.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, does the how do you even say it? Asterisk?
Asterisks.
Asterisk?
Something like that.
Okay,
yeah.
does the asterisk lessen the value of the championship?
I think that's what
Does it?
That's what I'm trying
it's
to say.
supposed
That's what
to
you're
do.
saying.
Or is
That's
it?
what it
Well, it's
does.
not even
That's
just
what
the
it's supposed to
championship.
do.
People are trying to put asterisks on
Here's
championships and on playoff runs,
Yeah.
like getting to the finals.
Now here's my conclusion on that. Not conclusion, but here's my statement on that.
Okay.
And that is I don't have a problem with asterisks at all. I think you should put asterisks in there, but what I do also think is that they shouldn't lessen the value of playoff runs or championships.
Right.
But I think they're necessary.
Yeah.
There's like, okay, what was the story of this season in 2020 when the Lakers won? Okay, they were playing in the bubble. No fans were around at all. There was no home court advantage.
Right.
That should be an asterisk. There should be an asterisk there, but it shouldn't lessen the value of the championship. So,
Right. Yeah.
what do you think?
I agree in that sense. I think it's hard because everyone's got biased opinions, and that's probably why there are asterisks on championships and on playoff runs. But at the end of the day, like, you play who's in front of you. Like, why are fans complaining about a 1 seed playing an 8 seed in round one? That's how brackets work.
Well, yeah.
And you're going to play the 4 or 5 seed in the second round. Doesn't matter. You know, if the 7 seed or the 8 seed or if the 7 seed or the 6 seed gets to the conference finals, then shame on the 2 and the 3 seed for losing.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes the 2 and the 3 seeds are worse teams in the
Right.
playoffs. Like, you don't know
That's
this. Like, did you think that Sacramento and Memphis were tougher matchups than the Lakers and the Warriors last year?
No, sir.
No. It's just the better teams make it through. And you're always going to get a Cinderella run to the conference finals at least once every now and then, right?
Yeah.
And we saw a lower seed get by, and it was the Pacers, but the East was so bad, everyone was so close together that it was all even unless you were playing Boston.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to gauge in that sense, essentially. But
I think going off of what he said, I still think they're not needed, but if there's got to be certain circumstances that require an asterisk.
Yeah.
I think the bubble is one. The injuries, I don't know, because that's a part of the sport, and you're not going to prevent that from happening.
there are certain instances where
I think the asterisk has to tell you the story of the season as a whole, not specifically, there was injuries against the team that they played against.
right.
That
Like,
shouldn't be
'cause
what they're used.
there's luck.
The criteria of the asterisk.
Right, there's luck that's involved in the playoffs.
Right.
And usually the
That-
healthier
that- yeah,
team wins.
that
There are
happens with
some
everything.
there are some exceptions where injuries happen, but it
Going-
wasn't the main,
Let me give you an example. For
because
for example,
I have an example also with
Kawhi Leonard, when Zaza Pachulia put his foot under Kawhi, when they were killing the Warriors, would you put an asterisk on that series?
The two asterisks that I would put on is the Warriors that year and the Bucks in 2021 when Giannis undercut Kyrie intentionally on that layup.
Okay.
Because we all know, even Giannis himself knows, that if Kyrie's healthy for all of that series, I don't think it goes to 7 games. And even if it does go to 7 games, I think we win. And the fact that even with just KD and no help, we still only lost in overtime. So that's where injuries happen. You play who's in front of you, but when they're intentionally done like that, that's when the asterisk should be placed, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because when you're taking away the integrity of a game to knock a player out,
Okay.
you don't deserve to win the championship at that point. I don't care what you do after that.
Well, how can you judge a player's motives? I don't think
I
think Giannis's intent was to injure Kyrie. I genuinely don't think
most
that.
people.
Same thing with Zaza.
Well, Zaza's a dirty player.
Yeah.
Giannis is also a dirty player, for being honest. Yeah, why? Like, think about it. If Kyrie had a wide open layup, why would Giannis just try and go underneath Kyrie to try and get a rebound that didn't need to be made? It was going in. There was no one around him. He didn't need to do that. And just like Zaza, he didn't need to do that either. Yeah, it was very intentional.
Okay.
And that's why.
I'll take your word for that.
And this is someone that I used to absolutely adore, Giannis.
Yeah.
And he's one of my least favorite players now because of it.
Because he beat the Nets.
Well, yeah, but when you beat the Nets, like I have loads of respect for Tatum and Brown.
Okay.
Right? They beat us fair and square. But when you beat us like that, that's where I have a problem.
Yeah.
And I think, speaking for Spurs fans, I think they agree in the sense that they were clear in a way going to win that series until that happens. And when someone like Zaza just sticks a foot in on purpose, Kawhi rolls an ankle, and it's all downhill from there.
Right. I just want to say one more thing about the criteria of an asterisk.
Yeah.
I don't think those deserve an asterisk next to them. I think more so asterisks should be placed on the NBA season as a whole, like I was saying before, to tell a story about the season.
Right.
On a bigger picture.
So I'm gonna use an example.
Okay.
So if the Celtics this year, they had the 64-win season. I don't think it's their most wins in a season, correct?
I don't think so.
But if the Celtics broke if 64 was the number they broke and they lose in the finals this year, would you asterisk this season as being not a success, even though they broke that record?
No.
So it's not.
It should not be an asterisk. No.
So
what I'm saying
it is a success.
I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. I would put an asterisk on the season where there was a lockout for the NBA. Right? They played less games. I would put an asterisk on that. Same thing with COVID.
Yeah.
Stuff like that tells you a story about the whole season.
There's always an
unusual
asterisk
year.
Seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, like an unusual year. Those are the only circumstances where I would put an asterisk. Everything else, that's a part of the game. That's just what happens.
Right.
So,
and that's
my view.
And that leads me into the second part of my question. Do fans put unfair expectations on teams when it comes to the playoffs? Because we all know it's really, really tough to win in the NBA. And I understand the Celtics won 64 games of basketball this year. That doesn't mean they're a lock to win the championship. The favorite, yes. But if they lose in Game 7 in the finals, everyone's going to talk about, they're frauds. They were never good. It was like every year when the defending champ gets knocked out of the playoffs, like this was the fakest ring ever. We've seen it for the past 6 years since the defending champ hasn't won. Do you think fans are putting unfair expectations on, or do you think the media as well? Do you think the fans and the media are putting unfair expectations for NBA players and NBA teams and NBA coaches and just the NBA in general?
You should have kept that question for another episode.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because we need at least 2 parts. This segment needs to be at least like 20 minutes.
No, I think you should have kept that for another episode, but okay. Because it's one question, not multiple.
Every episode we've had a 2-parter.
No, was mine a 2-parter?
Yeah, yours was a 2-parter. All of ours were 2-parters. Because
mine was short, though. Mine was short.
Yeah, so your second question saved it.
Did it?
Yeah, my second question also saved it.
Okay. I think yes. I think the fans are always going to put those things because it's just how it is, how the world runs in sports. I feel like you're going to, I don't want to say a team's ring the year before is a fraud. They were the best team that year. It's a new year. It's a new season.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're always going to repeat. It's hard to repeat a championship, yet alone win one. And if you're repeating it for a second year in a row, third year in a row, unless you're a super team that's supposed to win it, like the Warriors did. But a team that's like a Nuggets team with, I guess, 2 good players, a bunch of role guys, the Warriors had 3 perennial All-Stars on that same team when they won their back-to-backs. Same thing with the Heat, 3 perennial All-Stars that were on that team. So yeah, I do think fans and media they do add that
Put too much
unnecessary amount.
expectations.
Yeah, I think unless it's a team that has, if it's like a Warriors dynasty, if it's that Heat team, that's just overpowering every other team in the league and in their own conference.
Yeah.
Certain criteria I think has to be met for it, but I think regardless, there's too much that goes on with fans and media with teams like, if the Mavs win this series in comfortable fashion, say it's a 4-1 or a 4-2, they're going to slander the Celtics for having an awful type
And
of
I
season.
think rightfully so.
Yeah, I agree.
They need to get the job done. Okay,
I agree.
That's my standpoint. How long has it been that the Celtics were supposed to win it all? Like you were saying before, 3 years, 4 years.
But if it's
They've been right there.
But what
You
if it's
can't
like
get
what if it's like a close, hard fought series and the Mavs just were better? Like you can't say the Celtics are frauds because of that if the Mavs were the better team.
Well, I'm not saying that.
Right.
But all I'm saying is we hold them to a high standard because we know they're good.
Right.
We know they should win.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That was the question, right? What was it again?
It was a sense of our fans putting unfair expectations
Unfair
on teams
expectations.
to win, especially with defending
I don't think so.
champions.
I think if I'm on the Celtics, for example, right, and the fans are holding us to such a high expectation, I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
They should hold me to a high standard because we are the best team in the NBA,
Right.
the Celtics,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I know it's tough because it kind of goes back to what I've been saying all episode. Like fans don't understand. Like there are some fans that don't get it. I think it's tough, especially like if you look through the scope of a defending champion, in the sense that whoever wins this year, right? Whether let's say it's the Celtics, right? You got your best players are going to play in the Olympics. You're playing into June as it is, and then July, August, you're starting to train, get back ready. September's training camp, and then you start already. Compared to teams that got knocked out early or didn't even make the playoffs, they're done for a month or 2 months or 3 months in advance, and you're able to regroup. And championship hangovers happen, and you get tired, and it's hard.
Yeah.
I understand the professional athletes, but everyone has a certain motor, and that motor runs out after a certain point. That's why it's hard to win, especially in this uber talented NBA.
Yeah.
So as far as defending champions go, like it's really, really, really tough to win.
Yeah.
And what irks me with that is why are you basing this season off of last season? Saying like this was the fakest ring ever. Like if
So you're talking about something specific.
this is the first part of my thing. Like let's say like if the Mavs win this year and lose in the second round last year, you're gonna see all the discourse of this was the fakest ring in NBA history and yada 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 and stuff like that. Like come on.
Okay, so you see, I didn't know that this is what goes on because I don't have Twitter.
That's why you 6 people hurry up so we can give this man a Twitter. Because you'll see a lot of
You'll see a lot of
Stuff like that.
A lot of shit.
It's really sad because these teams deserve to be praised, and especially with teams that are supposed to win like championship or bust. Like I get it, but championship or bust is just trying to maximize your window, not trying to maximize what a fan's take is. Just a random fan in fucking Idaho or something like. That's not what
that
it
doesn't
should be.
have a team there.
Exactly.
Regardless.
But then it's like, does everyone get a trophy? Like Little League sports? No, that's not what this
but
is.
that's not what it is.
That's
but
not what it is.
You said these teams deserve to be.
No,
No, the
praise.
teams that win deserve
Praise.
Yeah.
teams that win championships deserve to be praised.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was
I
saying.
thought you were saying like all
No,
the teams.
no.
Okay.
Defending champions need to be praised.
Okay.
Because it's hard to winning the finals is so difficult.
Yeah.
Yet alone back to back
Right.
year after.
Exactly. It's so difficult. That's why this new CBA exists because good teams can't re-sign their players and there's no more dynasties. So that's why the Warriors were able to just have a $400 million payroll. Like that
I
can't
will put
happen.
an asterisk on that. Nah.
Now that was one of the best teams we'll ever see in our
and-
existence.
Honestly, I am putting an asterisk on that. I don't care. Kevin Durant,
It's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
unbelievable.
it's kind of like LeBron, where it's like they're so good it's an outlier.
It's so weird how, with going back to how Katie was able to go there,
Outlier,
that
good word.
that when CP3 was supposed to go to the Lakers,
Yeah.
they rejected that in a heartbeat. No, you'd be too good. But Katie going to the Warriors is perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's another story for a different day.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was
But-
under a different commissioner. No.
Was CP3 with Stern?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure CP3 was.
That was
with
gonna
Stern.
say. I think CP3 was with Stern. Silver was with
You sure?
I'm
KD.
pretty sure. I don't remember exactly.
I think it was. I think Silver.
Okay, maybe.
Might have been.
We can fact check that.
Yeah, because it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think when it comes to unfair expectations, I truly don't think a team should be expected to win a championship. I think a team should be expected to compete for a championship. But when you have a 1 in 30 shot every year to win a championship, it's tough. I don't care how good you are, because all it takes, like in the playoffs, just one play can change everything. So I truly don't think anyone should be expected to win a championship.
Okay.
I think you should be expected to be a competitor for a championship.
Okay.
Like I think going into the playoffs this year, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Bucks, the Wolves, the Thunder,
Yeah.
the Clippers, like they all should be. They were expected to compete for a championship, and yeah, teams fell short. There's too many teams that play against each other. That's going to happen. You're going to have teams go out in round one. You're going to have teams go out in round two. So I think we're being a little too overzealous when it comes to discourse when teams don't meet your expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it comes down to the fans' expectations. Why do you think so many fans get pissed at athletes because they don't win their parlay?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
the same thing.
And another I think too, since you brought up that, I'm gonna close up for like a human element. These
Yeah.
guys, we look at them as superhuman beings, but they're humans. They're just like us. They're just gifted in a sport with the ball, throwing a ball in the net that we can do.
That we suck at.
Suck at. Like, they're humans. They're gonna make mistakes. They're not gonna be good at their job on certain days, especially in a sports world,
Right.
because you either have two outcomes: you win or you lose. That's all that happens. Or if you're in soccer, you win, you draw, you lose.
Right.
We don't have ties in American sports. Wait,
In
No,
the
we don't
MLS,
do.
we do.
yeah,
but
MLS,
that's
but
it.
there's no ties.
When it comes,
NFL, there's ties.
when it comes to the playoffs, there's no ties.
But yeah,
Right.
In any situation, no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just we got to go back to these guys are all humans. They're gonna mess up. Sports have two outcomes: you win or you lose. You're either on one side of it or you're on the other side. You're not gonna win. You could win your whole career, but you could also lose your whole career. You could get both, and it depends on the player whatever they go to a team. It's it depends on a lot of factors, but. Getting mad over a parlay because they missed 1 point.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about your parlay.
Yeah.
They're not Jonte Portering it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jonte, but
Yeah.
that had to be
Yeah,
said.
he did it to himself, bro. He deserves. He deserves it. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, all this being said, I still think I'm going to have high expectations for specific teams, even though we just talked about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's just because I feel like I'm just a straight shooter. If I expect this team to win because they have a certain amount of players that are good or they have a great coaching, they have all fit together, I'm going to expect them to win.
That's fair.
That's just me.
That's fine.
And it comes down. It depends on the person at the end of
that's
the day.
fine.
So I think it really comes down to that.
Yeah.
In the sense, let us know what you guys think down in the comments below.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this? No. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of episode number 8 of the Floor Spacer podcast.
right.
As per usual, Gio.
I actually have one ready.
Yes, but
I have a word ready.
for those that are new, because obviously we do get a lot of new viewers in here, and we all love you and appreciate you. We hope you all stick around. At the end of every episode, for those that are still with the flow of the video, Gio will give you a word to comment. That's where we realize who the real ones are.
Yes.
So Gio, Gaio, G-I-O, Westbrook.
Okay.
What is the,
Stop right there.
what is the word?
The word. Okay, I got you. The word is word. No, it's not. The word is actually asterisks. But don't type out asterisks.
Just
Put
Put
the
the
actual
actual
asterisk.
asterisk.
That's
Yes.
it.
Okay.
So comment asterisks down below.
And if you want, what about people that write the word and put the and put thing?
That's fine.
Extra credit.
So apparently now this episode's gonna have.
If you can spell asterisks, honestly, I'm gonna donate something.
I think I know how to spell it.
Oh, I know how to spell it.
Yeah, I know how to spell it.
Go ahead.
Okay, don't tell them.
You go.
Can you pull up
No,
the
no,
word?
don't tell
so
them. Please don't tell them.
I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
I know how to spell it too.
I want them to spell it though.
No.
Actually, no. They have Google. They can cheat.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can cheat.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Spell
Tyler.
just asterisk without pluralizing it.
It's
with
just
no S.
Yeah. So ASTERISK.
Yeah. You got it.
The heck?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yo, why
That's-
were you not in the spelling bee or something? Or
Yeah.
You just like, yeah.
So this,
got it like
this
My brain is a weird place.
So another thing too. So apparently episode 8 now is gonna have an asterisk next to it for some reason.
I like
now.
that.
yeah.
Can we
So-
put an asterisk in the title?
Well,
Yeah.
what is the if you guys are made it this far, what is the asterisk in this episode that we talked about relating to the
Yeah,
playoffs? And
what
teams?
is-
what is the asterisk in the episode? That
What is our Lemicki moment?
yeah, it could be our lighting.
It probably is. Our writing is so bad. We'll fix it soon.
It could
Yeah.
be I don't know, the lagginess.
Yeah.
Could be the lagginess.
It could be that.
Geo's cooling pad. We got to show you all. At
It's
some
been
point.
doing good work
doing
today.
great.
You
Great
could,
work
if it's none of those, give us another one that we don't know about.
Yeah, essentially. So, but yeah, obviously that's the end of today's video. If you guys are new and you did enjoy the podcast, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We're currently 6 away at the time of recording from 1,000. We'll obviously be well past that by the time this comes out. So maybe by that point, let's see if we can get to like 1,050. I think that's attainable by Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens
We will
because
see.
we either gain like 1 sub or we'll gain like 30 in
Right.
a day. So
Yeah.
it's really dependent. Obviously, we appreciate all the support.
Yes.
Next to the subscribe button is that little bell. Be sure to click that so you're notified every single time we upload. Be sure to follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating on there. We'll be on the other podcast platforms soon, hopefully. We're still trying to figure things out. As well as back on TikTok. We've been dealing with some stuff there, but we won't talk further on that.
Yeah.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Floor Spacer Pod.
Yep.
And be sure to follow all of our socials, and be sure to follow Gio on Twitter because he will be on Twitter most likely tomorrow.
Yeah, and he'll have it in the bio by Wednesday.
Exactly. It's going to be right there across from me on the bottom of your screen. Gio is hating life right now, but it's for the best.
Spam his DMs to make sure he's responding.
Okay. Don't do that.
No, don't do that. Leave him be to some extent. But yeah, Gio will be on Twitter. And if we do hit 1,000 by then, we will obviously have a post out thanking you all. But
Yeah.
I think from us, we just want to thank all of you so much for the support we've gotten over the past 3 months.
Yeah.
Almost 3 months now. It's been quite incredible. I didn't really expect us to grow this fast.
I was
been-
just having that same convo with my friends. They were telling me that they didn't expect. Well, they're not on the podcasting type of thing that we have, but I didn't expect a K in 3 months.
Yeah, I didn't either. And
It's-
we're also pushing 1 million views as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're projected to hit
Never.
1 million views around our 3-month, I think like 3 days after our 3-month
Yeah.
anniversary.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So we've currently amassed at the time recording around 825K views.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, we'll probably hit 900K by the end of next week.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll obviously have a post out as well for the mill. So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
just
Awesome.
keep watching, keep liking, keep comment. We
Yeah.
Yes.
feel free to comment. Obviously,
Whatever it might be.
we like most of our comments. We're going
Yeah.
to ignore the hate comments. It's just there. So
It'll
we
make
just-
us laugh a little bit.
We
but
just thank
we're
you
not
for
gonna
we
it.
thank you for boosting our algorithm at the end of the day when it comes to that. So
It's okay.
and even like if
We don't take no offense.
yeah,
honestly.
and
No,
you're
we
taking
don't.
you're taking time out of our day to interact with us. So
Yes.
at the end of the day, we love our haters, we love our fans, we love our viewers, we love our friends. And yeah, be sure to stay tuned. We got lots more content coming soon. Hopefully we can
ideas
get some
soon.
guests on the podcast in the off season.
Yep.
Should be a lot of fun. Anything else from you lovely gentlemen over across from me?
No.
Good.
We're good?
Yes. I'm about to
Alright.
get those Nutella things soon.
Yeah,
That's
Gio-
ShopRite.
ShopRite is closed right now.
No, they're not.
You can get it
ShopRite-
tomorrow.
ShopRite of Inglewood is open 24
All right,
hours.
we're going to cut that
Oh,
out.
it
We don't
is.
Dox ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
All right,
what?
fair enough.
Yeah, we're not going to dox
What
ourselves.
does dox mean?
Like, reveal our location. You said, yeah, careful.
Ah.
No, but we could be in Inglewood, California.
Inglewood, California.
We can
No,
be-
haven't
we
we
could
said
be-
we're from Jersey?
So we're from Jersey. So
They know we're from
the
Jersey.
state is the farthest we'll go. So essentially, we'll
Yeah.
cut that out. So I'll
right.
yeah. So I'll just ask you. We'll redo it. So like, any final thoughts from
No.
you guys?
You
We're
want
all set. All set, yeah.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the episode. We hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching. We love you all endlessly. And as always, we'll see y'all next Wednesday.